It's like we're back in the studio. Los Angeles, 1997.
That's a good analogy.
Brett Gurewitz behind the controls. This is Brett.
I don't need to tell the truth, but I never lie. I don't need to bow to you. You're just passing by. I never wanted to be the one you bitch and moan and come home to. But as long as you look good, I'll come back to you. Get inside my troubled mind with all of your threats. Sometimes I think I was blind. Not before we met. I never wanted to be the one that you depend on for your life. When you cry, it smells like soup. Sounds like shown tonight. Never think about what I said all night. I gotta ride. Each time I said all night. No, I just might. You make me stay all night. It's just that side of you tonight that makes me stay all night. I'm gonna stay all night. You're an evil Ipso girl. I'm a twisted man, tearing through your perfect world. Make you understand. I never wanted to be the one you bitch and moan and come home to. But as long as you look good, I'll come back to you and do the things you do. Stay all night. I gotta ride. Each time I stay all night. No, I just might. You make me stay all night. It's just that side of you tonight that makes me stay all night. I'm gonna stay all. I would never treat you bad. You deserve the best from me. If you want to keep your place, you better get down on yours.
Yeah, Todd wrote this one.
Yeah. You think?
This is not mine.
I gotta ride. Each time I stay all night. No, I just might. You make me stay all night. It's just that side of you tonight that makes me stay all night. I'm gonna stay all night.
R.I.P. Todd.
Text the round robin. Your questions, comments, wagers. Give us a reason. Sleeper fantasy play, your best alternative line, whatever you have. Text the round robin, 757-354-5517.
Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, take us that star-spangled banner yet wave, for the land of the brave and the home of the brave.
This is the Deep End Broadcasting Network.
You are tuned in to the Round Robin with Stephen Murray on Deep End Broadcasting.
Still thinking about the night before my brain is on the bed. Way up ahead, I see the crowd with flashing blue red lights. I'd rather see the college outside.
The Round Robin Saturday special is live on the air, double timing it this week. We will still be on tomorrow morning at our usual time of 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, bringing you the Sunday slate of NFL action. But here we are. We have Saturday football. We have college playoffs. We have NFL. We have FCS games. We must discuss and find the best wagering angles possible for this cold and blustery East Coast morning and afternoon. I am Stephen Murray. This is the Round Robin. You are live here on the Deep End Broadcasting Network from our Chicks Beach studios in the lovely Virginia Beach, Virginia, the United States of America. And if you have been tuning into the show all season long, boy, do you love us. I mean, what can I say? As we set the record, our 3-year show record, we completely obliterated last week with 2 touchdown scores galore. I should have those winning tickets prepped up on the screen for you guys. I'll see if I can't do a little production work once we get our man Dave Del Grande on here. He'll be coming to us from Castro Valley, California. We'll talk about the 2 NFL games this afternoon and see what else might be on his mind. We'll get all the topics of discussion per se for the week out of the way today, and then we'll go ahead and be full on with the Sunday slate tomorrow. We'll get the Ant-Man in here before he gets on a plane and flies to Newcastle, Pennsylvania, before he goes home for the Christmas holiday. And then Nephew Dave. We got some studio upgrades around here. Nephew Dave coming to us, I think, this morning from his Oceanview studio, which the Deep End Broadcasting Network has put together for him in that regard. And other good news is we got a full-on mobile studio now, which we were able to purchase from our football extravaganza winnings this past weekend. So those systems are on the way here, and really we're going to be able to do this show from anywhere that we want coming up here after the new year, which is exciting for us because we're trying to travel, trying to do some baseball spring training and some fun stuff like that. This show is definitely fun to do, but a lot funner if you can take it on the road and get everyone across America involved. But yes, last week, a phenomenal weekend. We are now on the season as we wrapped up week 15, an impressive 10 wins, 2 losses. Now, I'm not talking bets. I'm talking about for the weekend. We're going to count the weekend. So 10 wins, 2 losses, and 3 pushes on the season. You'll consider the pushes a win, or at least I will. If you're not losing, you are winning in the world of gambling, per se. And it's exciting. Let's finish the season strong. Let's keep it going, and let's kill it. So who got it home for us last week? In the early slate, it was all the good wide receiver, 2 touchdown scores, and it was Josh Allen. And put it this way, if CD Lamb would have gotten his 2nd touchdown, I mean, we were looking at a huge 6-figure payout last week. Maybe buying the house here, buying the whole property for the studios if CD Lamb gets in the end zone one more time. But Nico Collins does it for us last week. Devontae Adams, that long bob was fantastic as he made his way through the Jacksonville secondary inside the 10-yard line, not to be denied the end zone. Nico Collins was the other one who got in there. Who was the other one who got in there for us? Tyreek Hill was the one guy who did not. CD got 1. Who were the other guys at the 1 o'clock window? There's one other person I am not thinking about. Was it the Carolina game? No. Was it? Oh, man, I'll have to get these tickets posted for you on the screen. I'll do that once we get Del Grande on the air, and then we can review it a little later. But in the late window, Mike Evans and Josh Allen were the home run hitters for us, all for 2 touchdowns. And if you parlay 2 touchdown scores together round robin style,
you can come up with some phenomenal paydays. I don't think the investment on that bet was any more than $20, $25, to be honest, to pay out a nice, modest 5-digit winner, I will say, on last weekend. So we were very happy with that. We move forward here to this Saturday. I'm a little behind on the ticker as well, so I'll go ahead and update the lines for you right now and the weather scenario. It's going to be cold in Kansas City, but it's not going to be the worst. We have the Chiefs -3.5 right now, 42.5. That's a 1 o'clock Eastern kickoff today. And then we also have the Ravens and the Steelers. The Ravens now up to 7. That is kind of crazy, to be honest. And I kind of do like the Ravens today. But to see that climb to 7 almost seems like that's a slap in the face to the Steelers and their fan base, especially since they won the last time out. The Steelers now 7-point underdogs, 44.5. Wind is going to be the interesting thing in Baltimore for me, because the whole Eastern Seaboard is pretty windy right now. And if you're outside here at the studio, man, it is cold and blustery. Not that these two teams aren't used to it, but you got to wonder how that might affect point scoring if we have so much wind going on today. I mean, this might be a reliant ground attack scenario, and maybe that's what maybe that's why we have the line movement, is that the Ravens may just be the better team on the ground if everything's forced to keep it there. But two fascinating games, 1 o'clock, 4:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Interesting in the sense that there's not a night game. Usually the NFL will do a 4:30 and an 8 o'clock game. We do have the college playoff games today. That probably has something to do with it. When has the NFL cared? I mean, they took over Thursday night, which was a college night, right? And I know, I get it. You're supposed to respect the high schools on Friday night and not play Fridays. But we had the game with Green Bay and the Eagles in Brazil on a Friday, right? So when does the NFL really care when the college games are being played? Maybe today they're giving you a little bit of a break in the evening, separating their product from tonight as we go into a busy day tomorrow with the NFL. But we'll get the two games today. Hopefully you got all your Christmas shopping done. You don't have to deal with the madness out and about. It's really too cold and windy to go out and do anything. So hopefully you're going to be cozy in your studio, your house, your porch, your basement, wherever you may be in this country, and catch NFL action all day long. So wind, I think, is the primary issue with Baltimore. I don't think we have necessarily that kind of thing going on in Kansas City and Houston for the early kickoff there. We do have the college games as well. Let's mention those for a minute as we'll get to that. With the playoffs today, a noon kickoff. Again, wind could be an issue at Penn State with SMU coming into town. This is a 10 and a 4 seed in the playoff. Penn State is -8.5 and 52.5. Texas is -13.5. This is the 4 o'clock Eastern game. All these games separated by 4 hours. Texas Longhorns -13.5 and 50.5. And Ohio State is the nightcap, the 6 and the 7 seed with Tennessee and Ohio State. Actually, these are their rankings. This is not their seeds. So I apologize for that, because I see Clemson's 16 up here, which means that's going to be their ranking. That's not going to be their seed. So Tennessee catching 7.5 now at Ohio State, 46.5 there. And that could be another win scenario type of game. So nicer climate in Texas, colder scenarios for sure. Penn State, Ohio State, Big Ten football, a couple of Southern teams coming up there. We'll see how they handle the pressure of the playoff on the road in these cold environments. All right, let's see. What else do I have to say before I get Dave Del Grande on here? We'll pipe him in from Castro Valley, California. He is with Field Level Media. He covers the Golden State Warriors for many, many years. He's covered the Athletics. He's covered the Raiders as well. He contributes to Deadspin. He is Mr. Fantasy himself, and he is a senior analyst at Stat Factor. So we'll go ahead and plug him up here in a second. Do I have any last takes on these games? Still trying to let these college games soak in for picks for me. I like Notre Dame. That was the one I really liked. I got Notre Dame to win it all, and I had them last night on the alt line against Indiana. So I have that tied into some action today. I got the Thursday night game going over the total tied into some action today and tomorrow that we'll talk about. So let me get some production done. I'll get some tickets up for you guys, and we will have a good morning here. We'll spend about 2 hours here on the Round Robin Saturday special and get you ready for kickoff at noon in Happy Valley. All right, so without further ado, we will bring in our man from Castro Valley, California, Dave Del Grande. Okay, I'm not sure how much you're on top of Thursday Night Football because you're busy covering your Warriors at Memphis. We can talk about that in a minute if you want. But to me, Peyton for the Broncos gets a little outcoached there with about 30 seconds left in the first half. And then for the rest of the game there, the Chargers really do get their money's worth with Harbaugh. I mean, that guy really is pretty sharp and just a good coach at the end of the day. Excellent game plan. They ran at the right times. They passed at the right times. And that was good enough to rally and beat the Denver. But I'm not sure if you saw the end of the first half coaching. But I think at the end of the day, I'm going to give the nod to Harbaugh there on outclassing Mr. Peyton at Denver.
Yeah, I agree with that. I didn't understand what Denver was doing there at the end of the half. It's not like you're going to march down the field in the final seconds. I mean, you just don't have that kind of team. You're playing against a decent opponent. You're winning. I mean, take your winnings and go to the house.
Right.
That didn't make any sense to me. The free kick thing, which the nation is fascinated by. It was a rule that I was been well aware of. It used to happen. I don't want to say somewhat regularly,
right?
But often enough so that when I was a kid, I knew that rule. I knew that teams tried to fair catch punts and tried to kick field goals at the end of half or at the end of the game. You wouldn't see it much at the end of the game, but but I agree with you. Going into the season, I was very high on Harbaugh as a coach. I thought he was a good fit for the team. Obviously, he went in and he started doing things his own way, which is solidify the line of scrimmage first and then worry about your other positions. Now, he happened to have a star quarterback already, but you look at his team now, you've got no running game. You've got, you drafted McConkey as a receiver. He's probably a solid number 2 receiver moving forward. So they still got a lot of work to do in terms of skill position on offense. But despite that, look where they are. They're going to make the playoffs. They're probably going to have a winning record. He's definitely a top, the 3, 4, 5 Coach of the Year candidate. So congratulations to him.
They schemed for the running game pretty well. Like when they had to have that 1 or 2 yards, I mean, there was a fullback, there was a tight end in motion, maybe even a tight end coming into the backfield and giving that full house look. And that was an easy 2 or 3 yards. They're going to be a little tough if that comes to playoff time. Teams who can run the ball and can't run the ball. Obviously, when you get into the playoffs, I mean, running the ball is as important as anything, really, right? I mean, colder weather, you got to have possession. You control the clock, and that's going to be a dangerous out just for that reason alone. And they will get Dobbins back.
Well, the problem is the AFC is a monster,
right?
And you're going to draw Kansas City, Buffalo, Baltimore, right off the bat. One of those three, you're almost guaranteed that. So there's all are going to be on the road. So you'd like to think that they could beat some of these playoff teams. I'm not sure they're in that kind of a league. But they've done what they've priority one for this season is get Chargers football back on the map. So establish a philosophy, direction for the team. I think that they're way ahead of schedule. And even if they go into the playoffs and lose one-sidedly to Baltimore or Buffalo, whoever they're playing, that's, you shake that off and you say, okay, you know what? In the long run, we're better off than where we were, way better off than where we were last year at this time. Now let's continue to reshape the roster. And that, this is where Harbaugh should have an advantage over a lot of other coaches in that he's used to reshaping rosters. He, and like you said about just the basics of the running game. How many times do you see, and broadcasters do a good job of mentioning this a lot, but 3rd and 1 and the quarterback's in a shotgun.
Right. Right.
And it's like, well, you got to be kidding me.
Right.
And then, of course, there are the teams now, Philadelphia, and a lot of other teams that are, that just automatically quarterback sneak, which forces you to have the quarterback under center. But you're right. There's way more to it than just having the quarterback under center. Like you said, you need a second tight end. A lot of teams don't have a decent second tight end. You need even a third tight end. They've got 3 or 4 tight ends that all seem to be pretty good. You need a fullback, and you need even if he's just a part-time player, a bruising, halfback or whatever you would want to call him. And then just plow forward, get your 2 or 3 yards 80, 90% of the time and move the chains. Whereas, so many of these other teams, they hand the ball off going wide. Oh, he stops and loses a yard. 4th down. Now you're worse shape than you were on 3rd down. Now you can't even consider going. So yeah, I think that he was a very, very smart hire there, and certainly the ceiling is high for where this team might go.
All right, in the AFC, we've kind of thinned out the herd here. Only a few teams still in contention for a playoff spot, and they need to really work some miracles. I mean, they all need to win out, and they'll need Denver to basically lose out. The Bengals, who I thought were eliminated last week, but I guess they were still hanging on by a thread there. Still are hanging on by a thread. They will get Denver at some point, but the Broncos' schedule not the easiest here. I heard it this morning. Let me pull it back up because I believe they still have Kansas City here, and that still might mean something. And
there's only 2 games left.
Yeah, only 2 games left, right? They got Kansas City and Cincinnati left.
There you go.
So not a layup.
No. And that's what, the door is far more ajar than the odds would, I saw them flash a stat on the screen late in the game Thursday night that said if Denver loses this game, they still have a 74% chance of making the playoffs or whatever it was. And I thought to myself, really? Because they're going to have to win one more game. Almost for sure they're going to have to win one more game. And I don't necessarily see them winning either one of those games. And so they could be the team in the end. This weekend they're rooting for 3 or 4 different teams scenarios to take the pressure off of them because they go into those last 2 games having to win. They'll be doing a lot of scoreboard watching because I don't think they're going to win either one of those games.
4-1 not to make the playoffs, minus 550 to make it.
Well, like I said, it's a two-way street here. Number one, it's very easy to say Denver could allow a lot of teams to backdoor them by going 0-2. Question is, can any of these other teams win? Probably have to win 3 in a row. And I don't care what the schedule says. I don't think there's any of those 4 teams or 5 teams, whoever are still in there, where you would say, oh, sure, they could snap off these 3 wins in a row. No. They've won 6 games all season. They're not snapping off 3 wins in a row now all of a sudden when they have to. So that's where the odds are built. They're not built on Denver winning a playoff spot. It's these other teams losing a playoff spot.
It's got to be Cincinnati since they play them. You got to figure.
Yeah, right. Well, that certainly helps, but at the same time, that helps a lot of other teams.
Right.
Because if that game were the Raiders instead of Cincinnati, or any other team, Tennessee, or any other team that's out of the picture, then you'd say, oh man, we're out of it. But Cincinnati, short of losing this week, Cincinnati is going into that game in desperation mode. They're probably the better team going in, and so I think that this is what gives a lot of those other teams hope that they can look at the Broncos schedule and say, man, it doesn't take a lot of wishful thinking to project them to lose both those games.
Let's see here. You know what? I mean, I can't necessarily write off the Dolphins too. I mean, obviously a hard game with the 49ers per se. But when they do go to Cleveland, and I guess I'll go ahead and mention this. I was going to talk about it at some point. I just don't understand the benching of Winston. You at least have your fan base interested in the team a little bit. Even though they're not winning, he's still a little bit of a buzz around town. They like him. Obviously, they see him on social media. He makes everyone laugh. So he's kind of a lovable loser type. And now you bench him for Dorian Thompson-Robinson, where they might have had 33% of the stands filled for that home game against the Dolphins. That might be down to 15% at that point because they really won't care after the Bengals will probably. I mean, I love the Bengals this week against DTR, but we'll get to that when we get to it for the Sunday show. But I don't understand the benching of Winston. You had at least a little bit of fire in your fan base because they liked Winston, and now you take him out. It's almost like you're reverting back to the Deshaun Watson days a little bit here.
Well, the problem there, and we're hearing this a lot in San Francisco this week, is you got to start thinking about next year, and especially in Cleveland's case where. Are they really bringing back Watson? I mean, they have no choice because of the contract, probably, but I think there's a very good chance that he's not back next year in some way, shape, or form. Right. And so now what do you do? Well, I think they look at Winston and say, all right, you know what? We see who he is. We know who he is. He's demonstrated it here. If we want to be this gunslinging type of team, which hasn't been our style. But if we want to switch over to that, we could be real entertaining, but do we really want to do that? And then, so then some other people in the room say, well, let's put in Robinson and let's play the style that we want to play. And let's see if that potentially could work next year. So I can see where they want to play him these last 3 games just to make a final determination. Is he really going to be a contender to be the starter next year? Or is he going to be just a guy who's going to be a backup next year? Or is he going to be a guy who's just gone next year? And then, all right, now we've established, we know what we got in Winston, but the direction that's going to take us in, maybe we don't like. We know who Robinson is, but he ain't taking us anywhere. And so now you get down to, oh boy, do we bring Watson back again or do we draft somebody? But at least these 3 games here, I think will help them make a determination on Robinson that they need to make.
You know what? They could be full on tank mode to try to get Shedeur Sanders or something like that. I mean, they're only within a game of being the worst team in the league. Man, there are some bad teams. There are a lot of 3-11s out here and 2-12s. That's amazing. I have not looked at it from this perspective until right now. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 teams with 3 wins or less.
Well, don't forget, though, while it seems late in the season, there are 3 games left. And so, some of these teams are going to get a 4th win. A couple might even get a 5th win. Heck, if a miracle happens, one of these might end up with 6 wins. So I don't think when we look back 3 weeks from now, we're going to see that 8 teams finish with 3 wins or less. Probably some of these teams are playing each other as well. So it won't. I don't think it'll look as bad 3 weeks from now as it does right now.
If you had something like the 5-game parlay of all the team total unders of like the Panthers, Giants, Patriots, Raiders, and Titans or Jaguars or Browns, you are man, you hit a nice one. I mean, most of these teams are probably at 5.5 for the lowest win total. All of these teams are going under their win total. All right, NFC, a lot more teams involved here, but Washington, if they can just win, that's a tough order with Philadelphia, but I think we have a chance in that game. We'll get more to that on the Sunday show with the Commanders here. But if they win, they're going to make it tough on everybody else. Seattle will have the last Hail Mary chance of all the teams involved there in the wild card. But any thoughts on the NFC right now?
Well, like you said, it's very similar to the AFC in that the team that holds the cards, is staring at, a face-up ace.
Right?
Good.
Good point. Good
it's
analogy.
like, I mean, if Washington this week were playing the Giants, then you'd see the Seattles of the world thinking, oh man, why are we showing up? They're gonna steamroll the Giants, and we will have wasted all our energy. But the fact that they're playing the Eagles, I mean, the Eagles are, I'd say, short of Buffalo, as going as well as anybody in football right now. And so I'm not saying they're necessarily going to win this game, but if you're Seattle or the Rams or Arizona or one of these teams that is praying that all the everything falls your way, well, this is a good matchup for you, because you can go into that matchup thinking, all right, you know what, Washington got a really good chance of losing that game, and if they do and we win, well, then the pressure is really on Washington moving forward, and that's good, because they're not a team that's used to this kind of pressure. We see this all the time especially in the NFL, where we talk so many times. We talk about scenarios late in the season. Well, if this team wins, no, you can't. Just because it's a big game doesn't mean you win. And this is why you're a 500 team right now. The stakes are higher this week. So Denver will beat the Chargers. Big game for Denver. No. It kind of works the other way. Like, you're 7-7, and there's been no pressure on you. Now you're in a high pressure game on the road. What makes you think you're going to respond positively to that? You're not the Chiefs of the Bills, the Ravens. You're the Broncos. Your chances are you're going to lose that big game when the bright lights come on. And I think that as you look back week to week, and you could do it with this week as well, where there's probably, I don't know, I'm going to guess 12 teams that kind of consider themselves in a must-win situation this week. Right. I'll bet you they don't go better than 6-6. That's the case with Washington. I don't think this is not a must-win for Washington. Obviously, they wouldn't put themselves in that situation, because this is a game they're probably going to lose. So you wouldn't want to, say, yeah, this is a big game for us. No. Leave that door open, because there's a good chance you're going to lose. And have something to say next week where you say, okay, man, this is our biggest game of the season, and now we play somebody who we've got a better chance of beating. Okay, that's fine. But and so as these other teams look at the schedule this week, like I said, it gives the Rams, the Cardinals, of course they're all playing for a division title as well, but the Seahawks, some of these teams on the outside, this gives them a reason to show up this week because they need help, and help looks like it's on the way, especially in that game.
There was a national narrative that Golden State could contend for a title. You said, nah, this ain't happening. And then you brought up Memphis as well the other week of just how good that team can be. So you saw it firsthand. So any thoughts on that?
First off, let's correct the record here. I was watching football Thursday night, not the Warrior game. But anyway, I'm surprised they lost by 50 some odd points. But these two teams do not belong in the same conversation. I mean, Memphis, congratulations to their coach for turning this really ugly Detroit Pistons bruising team, hard to watch and care for, into one of the most entertaining teams in the league. And we've talked about this before. I think there are other teams that are doing this as well. Just that Memphis is doing it with more talent. And it's almost like they got a platoon. Okay, here's our first 5, and then we're going to bring in 5 more. And these 5 guys they bring off the bench are all very good, and they play the same style. They just wear you down, and it fits the style that's successful in the NBA, which is let's create 3-point shots for our guys. And Boston has done this in recent years, and they do it with Tatum. Tatum dominates the ball, but Tatum beats his man off the dribble. He gets into the lane. He's a very good distributor. And now you've got, oh boy, do I throw it to White? Do I throw it to Holiday? Do I throw it to Porzingis, Horford, to Brown? Wow, they got an embarrassment of riches and 3-point shooters, and it works really well for them. And Memphis doesn't have that, doesn't play that style, doesn't like that. But what they do that out of, basically from inbounding the ball, just throw the ball into Morant or throw the ball into Pippen and go stand in your corner and let them run down the court, and they'll throw it. They'll get to the hoop, which is harder for them than Tatum because they're small. But they'll get inside, they'll draw traffic. Next thing you know, they're swinging the ball to Bane, and now he's swinging the ball to Aldama, and now you've created a fun system where you've got 3-point shooters who are very limited offensively, but when their defender runs off of them to go stop Morant going to the basket, well, all of a sudden they're not limited anymore because they're wide open shooting threes. So it's a very fun style, and it's going to be interesting to see how they do moving forward. And on the other side, you got the Warriors. And the Warriors, they've been in this situation for a couple of years now where what do we do about getting old? And, how much do we owe Curry and Thompson and Green these next 3 or 4 years? Do we, because Thompson has gotten old, Green is not what he used to be, although he's still a decent player, and Curry obviously still a very good player. But they have young guys who aren't really ready to play yet, in part because they haven't gotten much of an opportunity because the Warriors have played veteran players in recent years trying to win. Well, when do we start playing the younger guys? When do we get rid of Thompson and Green? They're kind of stuck in between. Yeah, they got rid of Thompson, but they kept Green. And who did they bring in to replace them? They brought in Buddy Hield, who's basically the same thing as Thompson. They brought in Kyle Anderson, who, he might be 30 years old. He plays like he's 50. And they brought in DeAnthony Melton, which was, good. They needed his energy. Then, of course, he got hurt. So they're this team that is not an old team anymore, and they're not a young team anymore. and they just, I don't know what they are. They're not very good. I'll tell you that. And at least if you're a young team, you say, well, check back with us in a year or two.
Right.
And, Kuminga will be a better player. Moody will be a better player. Podzinski will be a better player. Jackson Davis. I mean, but unfortunately, they, as much as they play those guys, now, they're, Schroeder's playing ahead of Podzinski. Looney plays as much as Jackson Davis. Like I said, Hield and Anderson, they're playing as much as Kuminga. I mean, if you're going to do that, you better win. And they're not good enough to win. Excuse me. And so so what's next? Well, I don't see it changing next year. I mean, Green's still under contract, big monster contract. Wiggins is still under contract, a monster contract. Curry, of course, is still under contract. They have no money to spend. It's very hard for them to make a trade. They're unwilling to trade someone like Kuminga to bring in, a Jimmy Butler or, someone of that ilk that maybe that's what, what they need to do is go back to being an older team and go for it.
Right.
But they're not willing to do that.
Interesting.
And so, so they're stuck in between, and I don't see them being a factor, at least until after Curry retires, at which point then maybe they decide, all right, well, we've just become the Houston Rockets, and we're starting from scratch. But that's unfortunately, I mean, that's what you do in sports. The smart teams don't play that middle ground, like the Lakers have, for years now. And you decide, what, we're going young, and let's try to luck into Wembayana in the draft, or Cooper, whatever his name is, and then okay, now we're back on track. Now we're 2 or 3 years away from being this title contender again. And I think in the Warriors case, the fans would understand that, especially because the Giants just went through the same thing. They won 3 titles in 2010, 2012, 2014 with veteran teams, and they tried to, let's bring the band back together one more time, 2 more times. I mean, and, for 5 years, they decided, Brandon Crawford, I know he's 38 years old, but he's our starting shortstop. And, no. I mean, at some point you have to, you have to just say, we're going to take a step back, and we're going to play younger guys, and we're going to focus on bringing in younger guys, and let's trade our older guys while they still have a little value. But I don't, if the Warriors wind up in the 9-10 play-in game, I think that's their ceiling this year. And I'm not even sure they can get there. There's some of the teams that were below them last year, like Memphis, right? I mean, Memphis certainly has passed them. And the Warriors were 10 last year. Memphis has certainly passed them. And Houston, I'm not convinced Houston's a real good team, but they're certainly having a much better season than the Warriors. So, I mean, there's 2 teams that you would project to finish ahead of them. So it's like, well, the Warriors are going to finish 10th again. Then 2 teams that were ahead of them last year are going to have to fall back. And that's possible. But at this point, the Pelicans, I guess, could be one of these teams. But I don't see it being the Kings or the Lakers or the Suns or the Clippers or, some of these teams that were in the lower end. We're not talking about the Nuggets and the Thunder and the Timberwolves and the Mavericks. These teams are atop the conference. And we're talking about 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Lakers, Suns, Clippers,
Kings,
that type of group.
Yep.
And they're not a better team than any of those teams. So, I hate to kick dirt on them on one day after they lose by 50 points, but it sounds like, I'm jumping on
Right. Sounds like they're lost
the
ship at sea without an engine or something like that,
Yeah, I mean, it's, the thing about them is by bringing in these veteran players, and Schroeder now is one of them, they should be able to compete. They might not be very good, but they should be able to hang in there most nights with basically anybody. And so I don't think they're going to be a 30-win team when all's said and done. But I don't think they're going to be a 45-win team either. So, where are they going to land in that middle group there? Yeah, and boy, does it even really matter, because you ain't going anywhere if you're, in the 30s somewhere.
All right, let's get to our Saturday games, and then we'll do the rest of the NFL tomorrow, and then we can talk about Kirk Cousins and stuff like that as we go along through all the games. Okay, Saturday, here we go. Saturday, 1 o'clock Eastern, and then we also have a 4:30 Eastern game, which makes that 10 a.m. Eastern your time, 1:30 Pacific time for the afternoon game or the late game. First off, is there a problem not having these games later? Obviously, they didn't use the evening time slot here. So West Coast mentality, is this better or is this worse that they're starting so early there tomorrow?
Well, I presume the reason they're doing this is because of college football. I don't know that.
I assume that too, but wouldn't have they cared about that maybe? But go ahead. Go ahead.
How many NFL games are on Saturdays?
Right.
Very, very few
right.
over the course of the year. I mean, so they're, how many games are on Fridays? Very, very few. I mean, they respect high school football and they respect college football. I don't think there's any doubt about it. And then part of it is a ratings thing. Do you really want to put, even if you got a decent game, Pittsburgh and Baltimore, you really want to put that up against,
Ohio State, Tennessee, yeah.
Yes, or even any of the three games. A Notre Dame game, you're killing yourself. And so, so no, I don't see any. I think from a sports fan's perspective, I applaud this decision because it gives me an opportunity to watch NFL and then switch over to college football if that's what I want to do at night. For this historic playoff thing. So yeah,
all right. I'm no problem there. Okay. Let's see here. Both of these teams, 5-8-1 against the spread, and they've both been playing to the under. 5-9 for the Texans, 5 times going over the total, 9 times under. So they've been a dead under team for the most part. 6-8 for the Chiefs. So they're generally have been an under team as well. 41.5 the total here. The Chiefs are now laying 3.5. So this line is actually gone up here. And I think that's probably with the news that Mahomes is going to go ahead and play this game. Everything matters here, especially for the Texans, as they will try to win to keep a home playoff game. That's going to be important to them. They'd rather have someone like the Ravens or even the Steelers at that point, or the Chargers come to their house instead of having to go on the road. The Chiefs have the 2-game lead for the number 1 overall seed. So they will look to try to clinch that with Buffalo having an easy schedule behind them. They'll have to win this game as well. This is an interesting game here, but I think the Texans are live to win this. They performed very well against Miami. They really limited Miami on offense. If they can limit Miami on offense here, and I get it, they're a dome team going outside, and they're probably better off playing this game at home. But the Chiefs have just kept everything close, and eventually these good teams are going to pick them off if they just keep it too close. I think 3.5 is too much. If the Chiefs win this game, I think they'll win by 3. Stroud played at Ohio State, so he's used to playing in the cold weather. It's going to be 40 degrees for a high. No rain, no snow, so nothing like that. And I think it's probably a defensive battle here. I mean, there is a little familiarity here with the coaching with D'Amico Ryans for the Texans. I mean, he's seen plenty of Kansas City and playoff type of atmospheres before back in his days with the 49ers. So I'll keep Houston as a live dog here and what's probably a lower scoring game, and Houston wins this game. I'm not going to be shocked. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. It's hard to – I mean, Kansas City has been remarkably consistent this year until last week. And even last week, yeah, they won by 2 touchdowns, so they finally broke through and got their double-digit win. But that was not impressive. That was against a bad team, and they put up very few points in that game. And so I wouldn't even – I don't feel any better about Kansas City than I did going into last week, or any better about Kansas City than I have the last 5 or 6 weeks where, man, every one of their games comes down to a field goal. It is kind of shocking that the number would be over a field goal. But like you said, I chalk that up to ignorant bettors in this game because the news of Mahomes playing, oh, man, let's jump on it right now before the line goes up, And so I think a lot of people rushed out there and jumped on Mahomes. I wouldn't be surprised if, cooler heads prevail before the game and it drops back down some. Because this should be a very, very low-scoring game. Houston, as you mentioned, very good defensively. Kansas City is very good defensively. I'm not sure where the points come from in this game. And then you've got the Mahomes factor, which is he really going to be scrambling around and doing crazy things like he usually does? Probably yes, but he'll be cautioned not to do it. And Houston's a good defensive team. So I think this game could go either way. If I had to pick which one I think is going to win, I'd have to say Kansas City because they always win these kinds of games. But I can't imagine them winning this game by a touchdown or more.
I got Mixon for 130 for a touchdown. I think that's fair game. I also think 61.5 yards rushing is going to be fair game for Mixon as well. I don't have anything on his attempts yet, but that would be something I'd be interested in looking at as well.
Well, again, I wouldn't be because this game should be really low scoring. And if neither team scores 20 in this game, which is possible, I mean, you can be talking about a 20-17 game, a 19-17 type of game, then you're chasing a touchdown, you're chasing big numbers on a game that has no big numbers. And so, I mean, I think Kansas City, which has kind of gone into a conservative mode anyway, they've now got 2 different running backs who they're feeding the ball to. Of course, they throw the ball to the tight ends as much as anybody. I noted last week that, Jonnu, our boy Jonnu, had a monster game against Houston. Well, that wasn't last week, right? When Houston played Miami?
Right. Last week was Houston and Miami.
Yeah, it was last week. Okay,
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, he had, I want to say, I wrote it down here, 11 targets, 9 catches, and a touchdown. I mean, so there's something about the Houston defense where, Miami, which has a lot of weapons, decided that, we're better off throwing the ball to our tight end than we are to some of these other guys. And Kansas City doesn't need anybody to tell them to throw the ball to their tight ends. If Jonnu's getting 11 targets, from Tua, well, imagine how many targets Kelsey's getting from a quarterback who doesn't want to hold the ball and scramble around as much as he usually does. So I think Kelsey to me would be the one touchdown scorer or high number of catch guy this game. Otherwise, I'm passing on the rest of it.
Let's see. His yards I have for 50.5. I'll get to his touchdown in a second, but I'll just run a couple other random ones. Noah Gray is plus 106 for 25 yards. And Pacheco, if he's going to swing it out, maybe plus 450 for 25 yards receiving. The touchdown for Kelsey, and that's fine. We can run for the hills from this game altogether. Plus 140 for Kelsey for a touchdown.
Interesting. I would have thought he'd be minus 150.
Yeah, plus 140. Noah Gray plus
yeah.
380.
So this is, because this is the kind of game where Kansas City needs to fire their biggest weapons in this game if they're going to win it. And obviously their biggest weapon is Kelsey. And if, in fact, there's a little vulnerability to the tight end in the Houston defense, well, that's a perfect match. So, I'll take Kelsey for a touchdown in this game.
All right, put him on the primary ticket.
Well, if we're only talking about
2 games, might as well. You have to have action on something. So there you go, plus 140. Okay, and then let's see here. His 2 touchdowns, just to throw that out there, is 12-1. And
that's not a that's not a terrible thing either. Again, I hate to base everything based on one game. But if they're targeting, Kelsey 11 times in this game, like the Dolphins did last week, then he's, he got a good chance to get 2 touchdowns. So,
12-1 for him. If you want to back it up super greedy style, Noah Gray would be 45-1. If maybe he's become the true breadwinner and Kelsey's out to pasture, for sure. But we'll give Kelsey one last thoroughbred look here. For the props.
They threw the ball to him a lot last week.
Yeah, okay.
So he's, like I said, he Kansas City's winning, and Kelsey seems to be in coast mode. He's healthy, but these are the games where they need him to step up, and he almost always does. And like I said, if Mahomes is running around like crazy and scrambling and there's Worthy breaks open 50 yards down the field and then he throws this deep ball down there. Okay, then that means one less ball for Kelsey. But I think we'll see less of that this week. I don't know why they would risk it. Now, again, a lot of these things are unscripted, so it's not like they're telling Mahomes that, to scramble and throw crazy passes. But I think he's smart enough to realize, especially if early on in the game, he gets hit a couple of times, and Houston's defense certainly can hit you. Then, you realize, man, okay, that's enough of that. We're going to run the ball. So we're going to, I'm just going to take a step back and throw it to Kelsey, let him run 8 yards, and then we'll do it again. So I think a lot of things point to Kelsey having a nice game.
Okay, the second game, Ravens minus 6.5 and 44.5 against the Steelers. The Steelers beat the Ravens earlier in the season. Probably about a month ago, maybe a little bit more if I think back about it. Yeah, probably about 4 or 5 weeks ago, I would say. They got off the Derrick Henry train somewhat early in that game as they were never able to get their offense together. I think what killed us in our little Derrick Henry first half bet last week against the Giants for the Ravens is that the Ravens got up so quick. I think Henry just got his rest a lot quicker than we anticipated. They didn't really pull him in the second half. I feel like they really limited his load in the first half there, and that doomed us in probably at the end of the day. But I think it's going to be game plan back to Henry for this one. Colder day, again, playoff type of atmosphere. The Ravens, again, they can still, if they keep winning the division, they can also scoop a home playoff spot if they get into that upper part of the wild card. So a lot to play for them against the Steelers. And you almost get the sense, it's just a little bit of a gut feeling here that the sands of the hourglass of the Steelers a little bit are just kind of running out, kind of running on fumes. We kind of thought how this last part of the schedule is be kind of treacherous for them and really hard to navigate. And they've been playing from ahead for a long, long time now. So the Ravens still right on their heels, and you got to figure that's going to make this team hungry. They're both going to be hungry, but it's going to be a tougher spot here for Pittsburgh on the road. I think Henry has to be involved a little bit more here. Russell Wilson cannot regress to the Russell Wilson that we knew of yesteryear at any point, and they lose to the Eagles last week, kind of getting limited by the strong defense there. I just feel like the Ravens are going to win this game at home. I just almost have the feeling like the Steelers have been kind of not necessarily hanging on for dear life, but now that they are. I mean, the proverbial rope that they're hanging from, you're starting to see the strands split, and it's getting thinner and thinner as they're trying to crawl up it to the end of the season and the top of the division. But give me the Ravens here. Derrick Henry gets involved a little bit more. Maybe they can open up that play action pass a little bit on that as well, or the RPO game. I think I like the Ravens here. I think they can score their points, but generally probably a lower scoring game. I feel like this would be something like 27-14, somewhere in that area. I'll take the Ravens. What about you?
Well, I mean, you know, it isn't often where I'm totally against you in a observation, but man, I don't see where the optimism is with Baltimore. They've been terrible on defense, and they're not going to win. You know, in playoff games, playing defense the way they are. I don't understand why they're so bad on defense. It's just that they've been consistently bad. And then meanwhile, Pittsburgh, I agree with you. I expected Pittsburgh to slow down late in the season and play a tough schedule. But that game last week against Philly was very impressive. I mean, that Philly team's better than this Baltimore team. And Pittsburgh hung in there. They scored points against the Phillies' tough defense, way better defense than they'll see this week. I don't know how Russell Wilson continues to do it, but he'll find a way in this game to complete a long pass or two that will keep Pittsburgh in the game, I think. I don't think Pittsburgh's going to win this game, but I do think Baltimore's defense will allow Pittsburgh to hang in there, score points, even backdoor if they have to. And Pittsburgh, I mean, Pittsburgh's solid defensively, so it's not one of those games where, well, you know, Baltimore's going to have to outscore them. You usually don't outscore Pittsburgh. So I think it'll end up being, it may not be a close game, but in terms of, you know, Baltimore may jump out 17-3 in this game, but at the end, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up 24-23 or 24-21 because Pittsburgh's going to have the opportunity to put up points. And like I said, if nothing else, Wilson has been able to throw deep balls for touchdowns and long yardage on a team that's, you know, generally limited offensively. And in fact, you know, they don't even have Pickett playing again. You know, I'll give, you know, I've just got a ton of respect for what Pittsburgh's been able to do. I have no respect for what Baltimore's been able to do. You know, it's a little like the first game. It's like, well, you know, you think Kansas City's going to win this game on name alone, but frankly, Houston's having a better season at this point. And I think that's the case here. Well, Baltimore at home, yeah, you know, they got all these weapons, and they're not really firing. I mean, Pittsburgh is hanging in there, and I'd say Pittsburgh's having the better season even right now. So you know, I'll take a shot in this game and try to identify the long touchdown catcher for Pittsburgh. You know, most likely it's going to be Austin. You know, he tends to catch those balls. So I'll, you know, and even if Baltimore gets ahead in this game, very possible. And you know, then that just means Pittsburgh's going to have to throw the ball more against a very weak Baltimore pass defense. So that increases the chances that Austin might get a touchdown. I take Austin in this game either for a touchdown or for, depending upon his long gain yards or even on his yards. So I'd look at all three of those numbers.
Calvin Austin III is minus 110 for a 20-yard catch. For a 30-yard catch, he is plus 260. Let's see here.
Both of those are very attractive. I mean, I'm shocked the number goes up so much from 20 to 30. I mean, what's the difference?
Right. I
mean, you're going to catch a long pass. So, you know, I
36.5 is his baseline.
What's that?
36.5 is his baseline yards. And then
I mean,
total
so
yards.
you're looking at, you know, two catches.
And plus 310 for Plus 310 for a touchdown.
I mean, I think all of those are very attractive. And he, like I said, with Pickett not in there, and against a vulnerable defense, he's going to get targeted deep 2 or 3 times in this game. And if he just catches one of them, he's going to go over that 30-yard threshold, which is you cash 260. And then he's going to go over his yardage at the same time, which is nice. Now, the question is, does he get a touchdown as well? And that would be, the icing on the cake. So I would, in some way, shape, or form, get him involved in as many ways as possible.
Well, even better than that, we'll get super greedy here. The 2-touchdown scorer, Calvin Austin, 32-1, and the Travis Kelce 2-touchdown scores at 12-1. $15 pays $6,420.
Now we're talking. Now this is why we're playing football Saturday. This is why we're watching the NFL and not the Notre Dame game.
Okay. All right. So that'll do it here. Let's see here. But general under game here overall, though, under the total.
I think the Kansas City game
that's the under game.
Projects, as lower scoring than this, because there are many ways where this game could get to higher scoring.
Right.
And that is, Baltimore gets an early lead. I just think Pittsburgh is kind of like last week.
Baltimore can score, that's for sure.
Yeah, what was the score last week? Pittsburgh played Philadelphia.
Let's see here. Was it 27-21, something like that?
Yeah. I mean, I want to say both teams are in the 20s.
Yeah.
And Philadelphia, hadn't been giving up points to anybody. And so I just think that in some ways, Baltimore going down and scoring on the first possession, I don't care how they get it, it just puts Pittsburgh into more of all right, we think they're vulnerable to the pass. We were going to save this to the end of the game. Screw it. Let's do it for 4 quarters. And that's what Wilson does best. So, I think that this game, I could see the score being similar to the Philly game last week. I think both teams could get in the 20s here. Like I said before, what did I say? 24-21 or 24-23, something in that range. There is a little potential for this game to explode and go way high. And whereas I don't think that's going to happen in the other game. I wouldn't play the under in this game.
Okay. And straight up money lines, plus 152 Houston parlayed to the Steelers plus 235 would pay out plus 750. Just to note that too as well.
Yeah, there's having talked for 16 weeks about how Pittsburgh has played the easiest schedule, how they're going to wear down at the end, and we're finally getting down to the end. I don't know that they're wearing down or not. They did lose last week. They have lost a couple of games recently. This is a game that 4 or 5 weeks ago, 8 or 9 weeks ago, you would have projected, oh boy, they got Philly, then they got Pittsburgh. Philly, then they got Baltimore. There's a losing streak for you. And I think there's even, before they played Philly or next week, there's another tough opponent. We looked at this and oh geez, this is not good for Pittsburgh, but they're hanging in there. They still got the energy. We'll see after this week, where they're at. Does the balloon burst this week? When you play Baltimore, they're not going to, they're not going to give you anything easy. You've got to go in there and, attack them where they're vulnerable. I mean, Baltimore's got weapons. Pittsburgh's a defensive team, but Baltimore's got weapons. They're going to score their points. They're going to get into the 20s. And so you got to know that If you think you can attack that Baltimore pass defense, yeah, that's not really our style, but why wait? Let's come out firing and try to hit them early with a big one. Get their attention, and if that happens, then it could be a real fun game.
All right, Dave, I'll do it for Saturday. We'll come back on Sunday and get the rest of the.
Dependable Solutions can provide all voiceover services for your advanced audio production needs. Think of us as an inexpensive option, no matter what the size of the project is. From one-word cameos to full script productions, contact Dependable Solutions at 757-354-5517.
Know your gambling limits. Don't ever bet what you can't cover. Wagering on sports is only fun when you do it the right way. Not every bet will win. When you get on a bad run, know it and avoid trouble. Know your gambling limits.
Cafe and Raw Bar specializes in delicious cuisine, refreshing drinks, and a laid-back atmosphere. We opened our doors in 1995 and have enjoyed being a place to relax or celebrate ever since. Whether you are indulged in a great meal with your friends and family or watching the game, promise that our inventive menu, attentive service, and skilled bartenders have truly satisfied. Both of our locations have spacious outdoor patios for enjoying the breeze and catching a little sun. A friendly staff at Street Shuckers will make your next dining experience a pleasant one by delivering personal care. We are open until 2 a.m. We'll be served until 10 p.m. and late night limited menu until 1 a.m. For larger parties, please give the location of choice a call. Pacific Avenue, 757-425-6676 or Shore Drive, 757-412-2929. More information at cbshuckers.com. Thank you for your continued support. Have a shucking good time.
Control your alcohol. Don't fight. Don't drink and drive. Your one punch could kill someone. It happens. You're behind the wheel. You may think you're fine, but then the other driver is under the influence of texting, and then you are done. Control your alcohol.
10:20 a.m. Eastern Standard Time here on the Round Robin, December the 21st, 2024, right on the doorstep of Christmas. This is our NFL Round Robin Saturday special, broadcasting live from the Deep End Studios in the lovely Chicks Beach, Virginia, the United States of America. I believe, let's see, we got nephew Dave in here loud and clear from the Oceanview Studios from the lovely Norfolk, Virginia. Dave, you got me loud and clear?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
All right. Good. Yeah. Perfect. Perfect. Good morning. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well, sir. Big football Saturday here. Some exciting stuff going on.
Yeah. Yeah. What about that, man? What about this combo of college football, NFL all on the same day? I mean, it's about 40 degrees and windy and cold, so there's no need to go outside. You can literally post up all day and take in some football.
Yeah, and I tell you what, I think that's what I kind of intend to do today.
I'm sure there will be a little NHL sprinkled in there as well. Caps played last night. I'm assuming they're off today, correct?
Yeah, off today, and 5 o'clock Sunday versus LA is up next.
All right, 10-4. All right, Dave. I mean, we'll be on the air tomorrow. You'll be in studio tomorrow. We'll enjoy a day at the Sports Lounge. But let's see what we can get our hands on this afternoon. If you have Survivor Pool, do you use either of these games in Survivor today? I don't see how you can.
I don't think so, Steve. I think these, I just do not see how there's a way with this 2-game slate here.
All right, and then
these teams are just they're too good. Right. Still with you?
Yeah, I got you. Do you have me loud and clear? Right. Yeah. There's a slight delay, but that's all. That's all. I don't know how you can use any of that in Survivor, and then we'll go back through that list tomorrow morning. All right, what do you expect out of these college football games today? Do you have anything you like in these games?
We played a little ticket so far this morning. Let me see if I can get to them here. Should be able to go into my slip. Still having some location trouble there with the old book, but I should be able to see the bets.
Interesting. Is that just on the main computer, not on your phone?
Yeah. Yep. So let's see here. Yeah, that is struggling there on my end. Let me see what I can pull up. But I don't know, Steve. There's these are some really good matchups. I think last night's game was a good start to it. Man, we were Indiana touchdown away from cashing, so hopefully that's a good trend of things to come here soon.
Yeah, you sent me that early, or you sent me that earlier. I'm like, wait a minute, what's he talking about? Didn't Penn State beat him 30-3 or something? And then I went ahead and looked back at the score, and I saw it was 27-17. So Indiana with two very, very late touchdowns. Wow, they get one with 1:27 left. And then they get one with 25 seconds left in the game. So if you had some super alt line with Notre Dame and you were rolling like I did, then you were like, wait a minute, we were just up 24 points. And then within 1:25 left in the game, you're up 24 points. And then you only win by 10. So Indiana with a late rally there.
Yeah, I turned that game off. I didn't expect anything out of that, and man, to come that close was a surprise.
All right, let's see here. First game for the college today, we have Penn State and SMU. Cold weather game for SMU. These Texas boys, I don't think are going to know how to handle the cold and the wind, Dave.
No. I think it's going to be a little bit too much for them. Penn State, that's just the one thing there is, can they finally rise up and, get a big win? Sometimes that's tough for them to do. But, an opponent I think that they should have, so in this spot for sure.
All right, game number 2. And it's weird because I'm clicking on the NCAA football lines on my book, and they want to take me to the NFL lines. So I got to go around that. For me, it's Penn State. It's the cold weather. It's the wind. And SMU is more of a finesse team than a power team. So I'll take the Big Ten team here. In fact, I'm not so sure this is a close game either. I mean, I think this could be every bit of a 20-point winner for Penn State. The second game, Texas and Clemson. Is the dog live in your eyes, Dave?
Yes, I think so, Steve. I like Clemson in this spot. I like them at least with the number.
It's a big number. Yeah, it's a big number.
What, 12.5 or 13 right now?
13.5. They're not getting any respect here. Dabo Swinney's won a national title before as well. So they're going to be prepared here and have a game plan for it's the old defense against offense type of deal where you got to give the edge to Sweet over Sark. So I'm going to actually take a shot at Clemson here. They're 4-1 on the money line. I wouldn't be surprised if they win this game, but I think this is a close game throughout. Clemson probably exceeding expectations a little bit more than what I was going to give them credit for early in the season after getting beat by Georgia on opening day 24-3. For the most part, they've rebounded really well. Probably should have beaten South Carolina. Now, South Carolina is a team who kind of pulls smoke and mirrors on you at the end of the day, and I think Clemson just fell victim to that. This is a new, relatively new arena for Texas, at least this recent Texas team. You have to go back to the days of Vince Young when they beat USC the last time they hoisted the national title. But I think you're right here. I think Clemson, the Tigers, can give the old Longhorns a run for their money today. 4:00 is that game.
Well, and especially if Texas struggles on offense, which we have seen them do, as good as a team as they have, especially defensively, that offense can go cold. So that would be a worry for me as well.
All right. And then the final game this evening, Tennessee and Ohio State. Ohio State 7.5, 46.5. Now, there's a lot of love for the Buckeyes in this game. I don't know, man. I think I'm going to take Tennessee. I think I'm going to take the road team and take the points here. Tennessee actually just might be the better team at the end of the day than Ohio State. I don't trust Ohio State. I think they have offensive line issues as well. Tennessee is a big D line, and they do have playmakers on offense, and maybe more so than Ohio State. And all they need is a chance to really get explosive at some point. They haven't really done that like they did last year, this year. But that could break out at any time. I get it, cold and wind, but I'm going to take a shot on the Volunteers here.
Yeah, Steve, I like the Volunteers. I actually took them
nice.
in a ticket today on the money line. So I'm calling them straight out for the I guess it would be a minor upset in my eyes. I think they're just as good as a team as Ohio State, and I think Ohio State is beatable, Steve, and I think Tennessee is in a good spot to do it this evening.
All right, so we're in agreement with all of that. All right, 90 minutes. It all starts with college football. You got to look forward to. It's going to be on TNT, the first two games. So don't get caught off guard looking on ESPN, ABC, CBS. You got to dig for the TNT and get it there. All right, Dave, two games today. Texans and the NFL. Texans and the Chiefs is the first one. We get a great game right off the bat after coming off a really good game for the most part on Thursday night. I got a live play to the over ready to tie and right on into this game. And if this wins, then I'm going to be sitting pretty, needing just the Bengals to beat the Browns by 13 points tomorrow on an all line. But I think Houston's a live dog here. I think 3.5 is way too much. This is a team that can win this game. They're plus 150 on the money line, 42.5. Now, we talked about the Chiefs just not looking so great all season. They've done it with smoke and mirrors. They pull rabbits out of the hat. I mean, it's very frustrating to the fans who don't want to see them win in all kinds of these crazy ways. But the Texans are a team that I had high expectations for at the beginning of the season. And a lot like the Chiefs, they haven't lived up to the bill. They have not performed nearly as well that they are capable of. I think they're quite capable of being a much better team than they showed on the field. They get a nice win on defense against the Dolphins. That's a team who can explode offensively. So it's nice to see a Texans defense really bogged out on Miami there and get the win at home. Now, if they can just completely put a full tilt together on offense, now you're talking about a team who's going to be very, very scary come playoff time. And, you're looking for just a team to get hot at the right time here. And there's no time like the present for the Texans. If you remember the Chiefs last year, they lost on Christmas Day, and then they ran the table after that. So this is about the point in time where teams can get hot and make that run. And I think if the Texans, second year under C.J. Stroud here, who's played at Ohio State, who can play in cold weather as a quarterback himself, and Mixon played at Cincinnati, so he's used to the cold himself carrying the ball. But I think this is a monster that can be awakened at any time. And I think they come out today and play determined. They play hard. And I think they kind of serve a reminder to the rest of the NFL community. Hey, you guys better talk about us. I mean, you talk about the Bills all the time. You talk about the Lions. You talk about the Eagles. You talk about the Packers. You talk about the Chiefs and the Ravens. But never do you mention us, the Texans, about being capable of winning the Super Bowl here at the end of the day. I think this Texans team has a coming out party today at the hands of the Chiefs. Now, there's a lot of talk for the under here, and I feel like it probably is a lower scoring game, 42.5. But don't be afraid if Houston can win this game on some sort of an all line, win by 10 points, maybe do that proverbial get out to a 17-0 lead and just kind of hang on the rest of the game and win it 31-17 or something like that. I expect big things from the Texans today. They're catching a perfect time to early Saturday kickoff. Let's throw some trick plays at them right off the bat. We have Nico Collins. We have Tank Dell. We have this tight end who we haven't used at all as well, and Joe Mixon. Let's get this thing going. Let's have a good day. And I'm going to expect the Texans to win this game. I think plus 150 is a great money line bet. If you want to take a minus 2.5 and juice that up a little bit better, you get minus 2.5 is at plus 190. Minus 5.5 to win by 6. You're getting close to 3-1. You're getting plus 285. To win by 10 points, you'll get 5-1. But at the end of the day, too much youth, too much speed, more talented players on offense in the skill positions. Give me the Texans, Dave, to beat the Chiefs today. What do you got on this one?
Yeah, Steve, that makes sense. I could absolutely see it. I took the Chiefs for 3 touchdowns today on kind of a team total play. A little bit something different. I'm hoping that at home the atmosphere kind of helps that out. But I mean, yeah, I could definitely see where you're making a case for that, Steve. I did take Nico Collins. I think him and Pacheco are my touchdown scorers today. And I'd tell you a little bit more, but my book locked me out here, so I'm dealing with that as well.
Get the old tablet.
But yeah,
out,
Steve, there will probably be another play to come via the Texans.
All right, this will be interesting. Let's see if you can hear the Ant-Man, Dave, because I believe we have the Ant-Man on the line. Do we?
I remember when the Texans were up 24-0 in 2020.
Yes.
In the division, what was it, the wild card round?
Yep.
Yeah. Do you remember what the final score was?
The Chiefs won, right?
Yeah. After the Texans were up 24-0, the Chiefs ended up winning 51-31.
You know what? Those days are over, Ant. On those big Chief comebacks, I think. If this team gets down today, they're in trouble. So they better keep pace. And what I don't know if you've been listening here the last couple of minutes or not. But I think the Texans are very, very live to win this game. They could almost have a coming out party. They haven't played nearly we're talking about the Chiefs not living up to the expectations. The Texans haven't lived up to any expectations. But here they are. They're on top of their division. They have it free and clear. And they're going to go into the playoffs as a very underrated dog. But they could serve notice to the rest of the league this afternoon in this early kickoff. Banged up Pat Mahomes maybe as well. CJ Stroud can play in the cold. So could Mixon. What do you think, Anthony? You think the Texans are live here today?
I think they're live because that spread is 3.5, and that's a little tricky. The only thing that worries me is that the Chiefs are going to somehow get some stupid call with 1:15 left in the game and get a game-winning field goal.
Dave, can you hear Anthony through your pipeline?
I can. Yep, absolutely.
Anthony, can you hear Dave through your pipeline?
I cannot hear Dave, but I did see Dave with his little Teams meeting or Zoom meeting. Dave, is that your house?
No.
It's the Oceanview Studios. It's the virtual background.
It's the Oceanview Studios.
I was gonna say, damn, Dave, we should have the party at your place. That looks fantastic.
So you can't hear Dave, right?
I cannot hear Dave. I saw him earlier. That's the only reason I brought it up.
Okay, all right, 10-4. I'll have to relay questions.
I can hear him, though.
Okay, interesting. All right, so you make him laugh, Anthony, and then he won't ask you any questions. But how about that?
Deal.
Okay, let's look at some numbers here because I think there are some good ones in this game to attack. We're going to start with the passing numbers. And wind shouldn't be an issue, and it's cold, but I don't think the wind's an issue in Kansas City today. 230.5 yards for Stroud passing, 232.5 for Mahomes passing. That is going to be too low for Stroud to me. Even if this game does play to the under, I think we're going to see some yardage here by Stroud. For 2 touchdown passes today, Stroud is plus 175 for over 1.5. You can't tell me that he can't throw 2 touchdowns today at plus 175. I like that better than the yardage. And then his alternate passing touchdowns, if he has 3, he's at plus 680 today for 3 touchdowns passing by C.J. Stroud. Mahomes' interception is minus 120. Stroud for the interception is at minus 120. And then also the Mahomes passing touchdowns, 3 for him is at plus 370. I think Stroud gets that before him, and he's paying about double the price there. So you boys like anything on those passing numbers? Either one.
Who's talking first?
Go ahead.
I was going to say, no, Steve, it's
It's my
difficult
fault.
because I don't know if Dave. Yeah, I don't know if Dave's talking or if I'm talking, and we can't hear each other.
Yeah, right. Go ahead, Anthony. What do you like passing wise here, if anything?
That it's remarkable that C.J. Stroud's, what is it? How many touchdowns? 3 touchdowns at plus 680.
Yep.
I mean, how do you not look? There's a reason why the odds are like this, but it's remarkable that those odds are like that high.
I think you can make a nice big straight bet on the over 1.5 at plus 175, and then go a little exotic on the longer shot, and maybe get a little individual popcorn action. Here we go. We'll give it a little popcorn popper sound effect. So the individual solo popcorn parlay of C.J. Stroud touchdown pass. Nephew Dave, your thoughts on passing today?
Yeah, I could see it. The wind is not a factor, you said, right?
I don't believe that it is. If our weatherman Anthony can confirm that, he's a better weatherman than me at the end of the day.
Yeah, I could definitely see some passing.
I don't know what Dave
numbers.
asked, but I will tell you that tonight or today it's going to be the gusts are really. There's going to be no wind. The gusts are at like 10 miles an hour.
Yeah,
It's
no
just
wind
gonna
in
be cold.
Kansas City.
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
It's just going to be
get 'em
cold.
to throw it around
and it's not even Kansas City cold like we saw last year in that wild card game against Miami. It's going to be around between 35 and 40.
Yeah, that's fine. All right.
Right.
All right. Let's see. Rushing numbers. Mixon 62.5, Pacheco 50.5, Kareem Hunt 28.5, CJ Stroud 11.5. The old CJ Stroud rushing number for 25 yards plus 390. I think I can probably involve that somewhere because the Chiefs defense is good enough to force them out of the pocket. And in a game where they want to win, you kind of throw your body on the line here. CJ Stroud, I mean, the stakes are up here. And whenever the stakes are up, quarterback rushing goes to a more important level in my mind. So CJ Stroud, more likely to run in this type of game than not to run. So 25 yards at plus 390. Dave, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I like actually all the rushing yards here. CJ Stroud 25 plus at plus 320. I'm gonna play that for sure. I think you kind of have to. That's a really good number just for 25 yards. I like the Mixon yards, and honestly, I like the Pacheco yards. If it's a good day, nice day there in Kansas City, if things just kind of get going a little bit, we could see some points. So give me all the rushing yards today. I like them.
All right, Anthony, rushing for you today in this game.
I love the CJ Stroud pick for 25 yards. And I'm also looking at, if the Texans are going to win this game, they're going to keep it tight, right? So I'm looking also at Joe Mixon's receiving yards. And we all love to bet running back receiving yards, right?
Yep. That's the same theory as the quarterback running. Is just dumping off to the good old Joe Mixon. He is. Now, how about this, guys? Here's a nice bet. Because we'll throw in Mixon. How about we'll get super greedy here. Mixon for 40 yards receiving. CJ Stroud for 25 yards passing. and then C.J. Stroud for 3 passing touchdowns. $10 wins $989.
I like it.
So we can get on board with that one, right, Anthony?
Oh, heck yeah. I'm also looking at a few other trinkets. What they've been doing also is they've been incorporating Dalton Schultz just a little bit more than normal.
Right.
I'm looking at him possibly for 40 yards. It's at plus 124, but you could sell me on 50 yards at plus 210. He's eclipsed that 3 times this year, but 61 yards, 33 yards, 66 yards, 21 yards, 52 yards. So, like I said, the key word for the Texans offense is tight. Schultz, Mixon, Stroud. I'm not sure about Nico today, though. Does that mean he's not going to score 2 touchdowns like he always does?
Yeah, I like Nico today. I like Nico.
Yeah, I'm not saying that at all. He's a top 5 receiver in the NFL. It's just crazy that he is that good. I mean, hell, he won you all that money last week. But Texans are actually going to win this game. They also know that they're probably not that good of a team, but they need to win that division so they can get home field advantage because they're playing in Kansas City today. So they got to buckle up.
All right. Let's see here. Receiving numbers. Kelsey's 49.5. Nico's 84.5. DeAndre 37.5. Tank Dell 41.5. Worthy 38.5. Mixon 21.5. Schultz 34.5. Noah Gray, you got to throw him in the mix too as well, especially if Kelsey is put out to the pasture. It is the Noah Gray show now, so you can't doubt him on a day like today. 25.5 for him. And Pacheco, I'm telling you, I don't know why they don't throw him the ball in open space. He is such a hard runner. How do you not throw him the ball? He is just 8.5 today. That might be part of the game plan too, because the Texans defense is kind of feisty. Robert Woods, 15.5. Hollywood Brown makes an appearance today, 15.5 for him. And if we look at the Pacheco receiving yards as well, 25 yards for Pacheco is at plus 420. Wow, there are some big numbers here. Let me add in Pacheco for 25 receiving. Anthony, what do you like for Schultz today? 40 yards?
You can sign me up for Schultz for 40, yeah.
Do we take a step? Let's really just go high here. Schultz for 40, Mixon for 40. Let's go ahead and throw in, since we're doing it, Noah Gray for 25. We're also going to go back to the rushing prop for Stroud and put him. This is going to be a fun bet, actually, to root for. His 25, and then we're going to take his passing as well and take him for his 3 touchdowns passing. Now, all together, Pacheco for 25 receiving, Schultz for 40 receiving, Mixon for 40 receiving, Gray for 25 receiving, Stroud 25 rushing, C.J. Stroud 3 for passing. $10 wins you $6,792 on that bet.
Steve, I also just played one. I'm looking at this. I took Schultz out just in case because could he get 40? Of course he could. He could also get 2 for 16. We've seen that like 4 times this year. The one that I have, and I have pretty much everything you've already said, they got C.J. Stroud for 25. They got Isaiah Pacheco for 25 receiving. Joe Mixon for 25 receiving. Noah Gray for 25 receiving. And why is Hollywood Brown at a plus number at 25? He's coming back, and guess what? He might be their best receiver. Yes, over Hopkins and Worthy and Kelsey, blah, 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 blah. But guess what? Hollywood's still young. What if the Chiefs get up early and then they start to show off? Hollywood could be the winning ticket today. Now, he also could get 2 catches today. So don't go too crazy. But if we're going to go crazy today, why not? Why not pick Hollywood?
All right, so you have Hollywood for 25, and what else?
So I have all right. So I'll backtrack. Hollywood for 25 receiving, Noah Gray for 25 receiving, Joe Mixon and Pacheco both for 25, and C.J. Stroud to get 25 rushing yards.
And take out the Stroud touchdowns. I got you dumbed down, so I'm going to put this in myself.
I dumbed it down, but 10 pays $2,000.
Yep, 10 pays $2,000. And that is all for 25 yards. Mixon receiving, Hollywood Brown 25 receiving, Stroud 25 rushing, Noah Gray 25 receiving, Pacheco 25 receiving. All right. Really, the key to me is Pacheco. Like, why do you not? And they started to throw him the ball more last season and before he got hurt. And then now in his comeback, I mean, he's wide open. And it's not like Mahomes even looks at him. You got to think that's got to be a point of emphasis that Andy Reid says, hey, look at Pacheco. He's a hard runner. It was almost like getting Derrick Henry out in open space. Just a hard guy to tackle when he's up to full speed is Isaiah Pacheco. You got to figure the receiving number comes into play. Even just straight up a 4-1 for him to get 25 is kind of interesting to me today.
Well, Steve, one more thing I'm going to talk about. Before he got hurt, his first 2 weeks, 2 catches, 33 yards in week 1. Week 2, 5 catches for 21 yards. So that 25 yards, I'm surprised that those odds are that high. He obviously hasn't been incorporated too much since he's returned, but they're obviously slowly moving him in. They obviously know what they have with Kareem Hunt, and I don't know, Carson still for that one random rush every so often, but Pacheco's their guy. He's a hard runner. Kind of reminds me of Adrian Peterson in a weird way. But you saw what they did with in the first 2 weeks. 33 yards, 21 yards receiving. And that's not even comparing to the 50 yards he got in week 1 and the 90 yards he got in week 2. So they're going to use him. So, yeah, sign me up for 25.
I have some tickets rotating up on the screen right now, so go ahead and you listeners and viewers and take a peek at your phone or the TV if you're not paying too much attention and try to grab some of these tickets. All right, Dave, what are your best plays receiving-wise in this game?
Receiving wise, well, I kind of agree with you guys. I have the Schultz for 40 here locked down as well. I wouldn't be scared to take a shot on old Noah Gray either. He's got some nice numbers. 40 for him is at plus 235. I think that's something to look at as well. But you guys covered it pretty good there. Mixon, he's got the nice numbers. Pacheco with a really great number for 25. So I think the only thing that I could say a little bit differently is, I have Nico Collins to score a touchdown. So, I mean, that's kind of the obvious ones here. But I would also take a look at Noah Gray, Steve. He's done well for you, I know. And he's only a couple catches away from getting 40 yards. So I think that's in play as well.
All right, let's see. Anytime touchdown scorers in this game. Pacheco's plus 125, Mixon minus 125. Nico's at plus 150. Kelsey's plus 165. Worthy is plus 240. Hopkins plus 290. Tank Dell plus 290 is an interesting player for me today as well. He seems to be trending a little bit up, getting the ball downfield from Stroud here the last couple of weeks. Schultz plus 400. Noah Gray plus 440. Marquise Brown plus 650. Irv Smith plus 800. The Kansas City defense 8-1. Woods plus 750. Juju Smith-Schuster has been involved. He is at plus 850 overall for him. The Houston defense is at plus 850. Mahomes 9-1. Stroud 10-1. the real P. Ryan, 10-1. Justin Watson, 12-1. Damian Pierce, 18-1. Carson Steele, 33-1. Anthony Beck, 36-1. Fisk cousin Firsker is at 42-1. For
Who the
any
hell is
time. Fisk is the other night, right? The Megan bet we had to do. What was his name?
Oh,
It was Fisk.
Tucker Fisk.
Oh yeah.
He's like a third string tight end that sometimes plays fullback. I don't know what he is. Let's put it this way: he's a big white guy with long black hair.
Well, so is his cousin from Germany, Anthony Firsker. Okay, or from Sweden. That sounds like a Swedish name, Firsker. So 42-1 for him. All right, individual touchdown scores. Dave, you said you like Nico. Who else gets in there today?
Well, looking at the numbers here, I played a Nico and Pacheco in a little same game ticket. But if we're going to look at two that really interest me, it's going to be the receivers there for the Chiefs. DeAndre Hopkins and Xavier Worthy getting both great numbers, plus 235 and plus 255. I think that's where you're looking today.
All right, he's going to look it towards the Chiefs. How about for you, Antonio?
What did Dave say? Remember, I can't hear.
Oh, yeah. Worthy and Hopkins. He's going to look that through.
I don't know. I don't know if you guys talked about this, but you know who DeAndre Hopkins used to play for, right?
Yes. Yep. Revenge
there you
game.
Go.
Yep.
2 touchdowns at 28-1.
Interesting. How about this for a basic angle? 85-1. 1 touchdown each by Pacheco, Nico Collins, DeAndre Hopkins, and Tank Dell.
Tank Dell worries me, but
yeah, I like that.
Mean, look, he's a firework. He's either going to get 1 catch, but that 1 catch could be the bomb.
It's worth a stab, that's for sure. And then, let's talk about the 2 touchdown scores, because that's going to be another interesting one for me to hear today. Let me make sure I get these. I'm doing these bets as we go along here. 2 touchdowns today. Mixon 5-1. Pacheco plus 850. Nico's 12-1. Kelsey 15-1. Xavier Worthy 24-1. Hunt 27-1. DeAndre Hopkins 28-1. Tank Dell 32-1. Dalton Schultz 45-1. Noah Gray 49-1. Marquise Brown 90-1. The Chiefs D 100-1. Houston D 110-1. Robert Woods 130-1. Nephew Dave, go ahead and give me a short shot and a long shot for 2 touchdowns.
All right, well, our short shot is going to be Mixon, and our long shot is going to be Ant said Hopkins. I love that, but we'll go just to be a little bit different. Worthy 22-1.
All right, so Worthy 22-1 and Mixon for you. Let's see. I'll go ahead and put a modest $5 on that right now. The one $5.25. All right, short shot and long shot for you, Anthony.
For 2, I mean, how do you not pick Joe Mixon? Like he's half the reason why the Texans are even in first place right now, because C.J. Stroud has been quite underwhelming. Joe Mixon has been their guy, so for him as my short shot. Do I take Pacheco or do I take Kelsey? You know what? Let's keep it simple. You ask for short shots, I'll do Mixon and Pacheco. The 10 pays almost 500. But if I'm going long shots, you bet your ass that I'm going to be taking Hopkins. But if I'm going to go with long shots for Houston, you know what? We saw what Brock Bowers did against the Chiefs. They're not that good against the tight ends. I'm going with long shots, Hopkins and Schultz for 2.
So that's going to be a nice payout.
I like that.
In a second. I like that too. The old Anthony revenge angle with the Hopkins, and then the Chiefs have been horrible horrible against tight ends. All right, so that's going to pay $10 to win 51-47.
That's the angle right there.
Well, it pays good. It pays over $5,000, and that makes for anyone to have a Merry Christmas off of $10. I'll tell you that right now. So we'll go ahead and throw that in myself. I'm going to go with Nico for a 2 on my end. I think that's worth a straight bet today. He is a guy, you could put a couple wide receivers in the same group. McLaurin's in this group. Jamar Chase is in this group. These are guys who you just cannot cover. And I'm not convinced anyone can cover Nico Collins, to be honest. He seems to be the best. So give me Nico straight up at 12-1. I might put a nice little chunky, tiny bet on that one. And then long shot wise for me for 2 touchdowns. I mean, especially if the Chiefs have to play catch up. How do you not take Noah Gray 49-1? Because he's going to be the one who finds himself free after Houston covers up everybody. You mentioned that they had the threat of Hollywood Brown back. That just makes Noah Gray better, to be honest. Xavier Worthy, Hopkins, you have all those guys in there. That just makes Noah Gray better, to be honest. A quarterback who notoriously looks for his tight ends, especially if Kelsey's kind of having a down day. 49-1 for Gray would be my play. And I'll go ahead and put him with Nico Collins in a bet. And that $10 will pay $3,125 if we get 2 from Noah Gray and 2 from Nico Collins this afternoon. Now, the other random one that I'm going to have to do here, just because I talked about him, and that is the firecracker that Anthony mentioned in Tank Dell. So let me knock out Nico here. I'll keep Noah Gray. Let me add in now Tank Dell. And we're parlaying now a 49-1 and a 32-1. And that $10 will pay out $6,139. So I think that in itself is worth a shot. If these guys play 20 games against each other, one of those games, Noah Gray and Tank Dell are going to have 2 touchdowns each. So I think that's just a fact, to be honest. So give me a shot on that 10 to win $6K plus Tank Dell and Nico. All right, anything else on this game, Dave?
No, I think we've got some pretty good angles covered here, and hopefully we can get an over game instead of an under game.
All right, anything else from you on this one, Anthony?
Now let's move forward.
I slap it in the face of the Steeler fan base is what I said earlier when I saw this line move from 6.5 up to 7 now for the Ravens over a team that they lost to earlier in the season. The total is at 44.5 here. I believe we have some wind. If you can look that up, Anthony, and clarify. I think it's a lot like it is outside here. It's cold, blustery, and windy. The cold's not going to affect these teams too much, but the blusteriness of it all may. And an interesting game, 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time here with the Ravens and the Steelers. So let's take a look at we'll start with the touchdown scorers in this game. We'll go back to the yards. I like how we did that. Let's start with the quarterbacks. And this is the wrong game, as we've already discussed that. It's amazing how the sports book, when you hit NFL, sometimes it takes you right to the deposit page. Like money deposit. Like, come on, man. What are y'all doing? All right, so passing-wise for the Steelers and the Ravens, Lamar Jackson is 222.5. Russell Wilson is at 207.5. Oh, man, I just like the Ravens in this game. The number is so bad that I like it, if that makes sense. It's almost like they're begging you to take the Steelers at this point at +7. So I'm going to go the other way and take the Ravens. Dave Del Grande likes the Steelers, and he hasn't liked them all year long. The Baltimore defense has not been good. The Steelers defense is good. At some point, Russell Wilson's just going to have a bad game. and it could come here today. I think the Ravens got to get Henry involved. They got to let this tank kind of do its thing here, and then let Lamar feed off of that passing game. I think this could be a Mark Andrews game as well. There you go. There's the Derrick Henry train. So crank up the engines of Derrick Henry in this game for me today. I don't think I like either of the passing numbers, although I would be semi-tempted with Lamar to go over his 222.5, but I think he'll fall right around it, so I'm not going to do anything crazy there. His touchdown passes for over 1.5 is at even money just about. He is at minus 102. So if you want to do over 1.5 for him and over 1.5 for Stroud, I think that's fair. But, man, this could be the Henry 3 touchdown game if they get it close, to be honest. Russell Wilson for 2 touchdowns is at plus 162 today. He's going to be limited without Pickens. So maybe that makes me think Calvin Austin, the third, might be the guy to go off here. Lamar Jackson's plus 370 on his passing touchdowns. Russell Wilson for 3 passing touchdowns is at plus 630. So anything in the passing game, Dave?
Steve, I'll say this about the passing game. It does not excite me here in this game, especially if it's a little windy, it's cold. I think both teams have injuries in that receiving locker room there, so that doesn't excite me for the passing props here. I do like your Austin angle. That is something that I thought of too. He's definitely going to be worth taking a look at with Pickens out. And I like the rushing here a lot more. I like the Henry angle. Lamar gets into it as well. I have Najee getting some action today. He's an anytime touchdown scorer. So I like the rushing game a lot more than I do the passing game here, Steve.
All right, Anthony, passing game for you today.
Who cares about the game? I'm more worried about you talking about the winds when me and the girlfriend are going to be flying into Baltimore tonight.
Oh, yeah.
I'm more nervous about all that. We have 21-mile-an-hour winds, max gusts on around 40 miles an hour. So when it's windy, what do these teams do? Run the ball and throw to their tight ends. So I do not mind the Mark Andrews angle whatsoever.
All right, we'll get to his numbers. Let's see here. We'll start with the receivers this time, since we're talking passing. And come on, guys, get me back here. All right, Zay Flowers 59.5, Bateman 35.5. Mark Andrews, Bateman's been fantastic. Mark Andrews 33.5, Likely's 25.5. Justice Hill, 21.5. Freiermuth, 36.5. Calvin Austin III, a cheap 36.5. Van Jefferson, 19.5. Jalen Warren, 20.5. Najee's at 10.5. There's a Derrick Henry, 4.5. Darnell Washington, just 8.5 for his receiving yards today. Mike Williams is at 15.5. So there's some low-hanging numbers there. I'm going to get involved probably on this short passing game. I could see a ticket of Darnell Washington for 25 yards. I could see, Mark Andrews, will throw him in for 40 yards, a plus 130. And then we'll go ahead and take Derrick Henry over 4.5. I don't have an alt line, so I'll keep him at 4.5. I'll take Justice Hill at 21.5. Although he's been kind of running short on that a little bit lately. I feel like I need to get another Steeler here. How about that? We'll just throw Calvin Austin in there at 50 yards. We'll give him a little beef here. So Darnell Washington for 25, Mark Andrews for 40, Derrick Henry for 4.5. Calvin Austin for 50. That $10 pays at El Cheapo $466. But I'm going to take a stab on that, what I'll call a low-hanging type of ticket for this game. I'm going to have to combine some of these numbers in some of these games, obviously. But we'll do that post the show. Anthony, I'll start with you first. Who are your receivers who might pop off, wind or not?
I'm worried about Rashad Bateman, actually. So he was seen in a walking boot yesterday.
Oh,
He's
wow.
questionable.
All right.
Yeah. He's
Yep.
probably going to play. He'll tough it out. But and this is going to end up going with the long shots. And that's another reason why I like Mark Andrews so much. Or Isaiah Likely, doesn't matter. Or Derrick Henry. But what if this is the Zay Flowers show?
I feel like he's due for a show, right? Isn't he kind of due to have one of these big games?
Every so often, let me look it up real quick. Stand by. Zay Flowers. So if we look at him, he is very capable of putting up over 100 yards. He's done it 3 times this year. Now, granted, it was not against Pittsburgh, but it was also 1, 2, 3, 4. 2 of the 3 times he's gone over 100 yards was at home. Why not Zay Flowers? Because you could think about maybe Tylan Wallace, or I'm pretty sure they rolled out. What's his name? Who's the guy for the Eagles? He used to play for the Eagles. What the hell's his name? Aguilar.
Yes.
Pretty sure he's rolled out. Bateman's not 100%. He's gonna play. I mean, his line's I think at 30-something.
Yep. Let's see here. I gotta click back to it.
And a lot of times we like to pivot to some of these, like 3rd stringers, 4th stringers, 5th stringers, people we've never heard of before. But sometimes you just have to go to the top guy.
Yeah, that's what paid off last week, honestly.
What if this is the Zay Flowers 100-yard game?
I'll tell you what, right now you can do a 2-touchdown parlay of Zay Flowers and Nico Collins, $10 to win 1,940. I'll just plug that in as we're discussing this. Let's see here. Receiving yards. What are some of these guys for 100? We're going to have to mix and match that after the game. So 100 yards for Zay Flowers today is at plus 410. Yeah, maybe he can get off. And then his 2 touchdowns are going to be nice as well. All right, Dave, what do you like for the passing or receivers today?
Yeah, so that was my first initial thought. I think Ant covered it pretty well there. It's going to have to be somebody else, I think. Like he said, Bateman kind of toughs it out. But with that injury, I don't know if he's going to produce like he normally does. So I definitely like the Zay Flowers, and I like Calvin Austin. Wind or not, I think he's the candidate to show up probably for the Steelers. Always got to look at Freiermuth. Both tight ends, I think, are very live today in this one. They get the run game going, and then a little pass into the end zone, somewhere in the red zone for the tight ends. That's basically kind of what I see happening. So I think you lay off the Bateman today. You go Freiermuth, Zay Flowers, and Mark Andrews today.
You know what, Dave? How about your boy Likely? I mean, because he's done a little bit of a disappearing act. And if all these guys are kind of not involved, like Anthony is saying here, then, yeah, obviously these other guys look to be better. But, man, he does like to throw the ball to Likely. You get plus 210 on Likely to get 40 yards today. You get plus 360 on Likely to get 50 yards. And plus 610 on Isaiah Likely to get 60 yards today. And he is a yak guy. He is a yards after contact, yards after catch type of dude. 13-1 for Likely to get up to 80 yards today. I probably won't climb the ladder that high. But I'm going to have some sort of like Pacheco receiving yards, Isaiah Likely receiving yards, kind of mixed in together here, or maybe even Noah Gray and likely is a nice ticket to put together, even for 2 touchdowns. We'll get to the touchdown scores and mess around with that in a few minutes. But likely he's fair game on your ticket, right, Anthony?
Last time he played Pittsburgh, 4 catches for 75 yards.
Yeah, 75 yards, 4 catches against the Steelers last time out. All right, so we'll have to play around with him some as well. The rushing totals are Henry, 83.5, Lamar Jackson, 51.5, Najee, 45.5, Warren, 27.5, Russell Wilson, 9.5, Justice Hill, 9.5. Dave, you want any of those?
Yeah, I think the run game excites me a lot more in this one today. That's just kind of how I see these two teams leaning. Justice Hill for 25 plus, should he be able to get to that, which really isn't too far-fetched, I don't think, is at plus 350. So
I see plus
think
410, actually.
Oh, I love that even better. And I'll check the my other book too, see what they have. But I think that's something as kind of a long shot that you could throw in there. I mean, like I said, we know he's capable of it. He can do it. So give me the Russian props in this one, Steve. You could sign me up. Najee, 50 or more. Then there's always the Derrick Henry props, touchdowns. Give me all that today too.
Najee Harris for 50 yards and Justice Hill for 25 yards is at plus 929. So $100 went to 929. I'm going to keep these loaded up and add some receivers to this. But rushing wise, Anthony, what are you looking at here?
I don't even know about Najee Harris or Jaylen Warren. It just this spread at 7.5.
7.5 now. Wow. What the hell is going on here?
It's just making me think that, and I understand what you said about Del Grande saying about Pittsburgh being the play, but why is the spread so steep? Is this going to be the Derrick Henry show? That's my worry.
Yeah, that's what I'm. Yeah, I mean, you're dumb if you don't try to give him the ball a decent amount today, to be honest, and at least control. If Derrick Henry's running the ball, you're controlling the game is the thing. So the Ravens did not have any control their last time out against the Steelers. That's how you have to think Henry's going to be involved. At the same time, we have to take shots at some of these lower numbers, just by principle alone, because we'll kill ourselves and kick ourselves if we don't. How about this, guys? Najee Harris for 50 rushing, Justice Hill 25 rushing, likely 50 receiving, Mark Andrews 50 receiving. All that is 18-1. That's worth a $5 shot anyway to me.
Yeah, that's an El Cheapo play for sure.
Hey, real quick, you know what's funny? The line just moved back to 7.
That was fast. That was a fast.
It's going up. It's fluctuating, which means that Baltimore's going to win by 7.
Right, exactly. All right, touchdown scores for this game. Henry minus 200, Najee plus 160, Zay Flowers plus 170, Mark Andrews 2-1, Lamar Jackson plus 210, Bateman plus 240, Freiermuth plus 320, Calvin Austin plus 340, Jaylen Warren plus 360, Isaiah Likely plus 380 is a nice number to me. Van Jefferson plus 390, Mike Williams plus 490, Justice Hill 5-1. Cordell Patterson 9-1, Russell Wilson plus 950, Scotty Miller 10-1, Darnell Washington 11-1, Connor Hayward 18-1, Patrick Ricard 32-1. Anything sticking out to you, Ant?
Why do I like Patrick Ricard? Please talk me out of why I like Patrick Ricard. I don't even know who he is.
Yeah.
Is he a fullback?
Yeah,
tight end?
He's the fullback, and you could definitely. Hey, the Harbaughs use their fullbacks. You saw that the other night. in the Charger game.
Yeah, and it wasn't our crazy white guy with long black hair, but I presume that he's a fullback for the Raiders, for the Ravens.
Yep.
So if I'm gonna pair Patrick Ricard, why are we doing this? Here we go. If we're gonna pair Patrick Ricard, why not we pair him with
Fursker?
Oh my God! Why not we pair him with Darnell Washington, the big guy?
Oh yeah, that'd be a good mix.
Yeah,
right there,
absolutely.
Sure. Well, if you put $10 on Patrick Ricard and Darnell Washington, $10 pays you $3,100.
Yeah, I'm on it. Putting it right now, and I'm going to take each of those guys straight for $10 as well. To be honest, just because if one of them scores, you're going to be a winner on that bet.
Patrick Ricard. What am I thinking?
It's like giving money away on Christmas for the Christmas charity. All right, Dave, any touchdown scores sticking out for you?
Yeah, give me Calvin Austin today at plus 275. I love that.
Dave Del Grande loves him today.
And I really like for the Steelers, the big tight end for them, Mr. Pat Freiermuth at plus 230.
All right, so a Freiermuth, an Austin ticket, pay off. So 2 Steeler receivers there for you. That's pays 17-1 just about for just Freiermuth and Austin by themselves.
Well,
All right,
I like Mark Andrews too, but
all right, so Mark Andrews, if we just want to take one from each team here.
Yeah, let's do that.
Mark Andrews plus 195, and then we'll throw in let's see here. Calvin Austin plus 340 is plus 975. So you're getting almost 10-1 for that to happen. Andrews and Austin. That's interesting. I kind of like it. All right, 2 touchdowns. Henry's plus 280. Najee 12-1. Zay Flowers 14-1. Mark Andrews 16-1. Lamar 18-1. Bateman 20-1. Freiermuth 31-1. Warren 33-1. Austin 38-1. Likely 43-1. Van Jefferson 47-1. Williams 55-1. Justice Hill 60-1. The Baltimore defense 80-1. Tylan Wallace 110-1. The Pittsburgh defense 130-1. All right, give me a short shot, Dave, and a long shot. And then I'm going to cut you loose, and I just want to pick Anthony's brain for 10 minutes on the games tomorrow. And I'll speed through that if I can exit out the Oceanview studio out of the conversation. Sound cool?
Yep.
And I'll catch you tomorrow back in the studio. So what's your short shot and a long shot here?
All right, short shot is going to be the obvious Derrick Henry for 2. But then we're going to go with Calvin Austin. He's going to be the guy for them today, getting the targets 25-1. So Austin and Henry.
All right, if you do Derrick Henry for 2 and Calvin Austin for 2, $10 wins you $1,344. And we'll go ahead and put that ticket in. All right, Dave, I'll catch you in the studio tomorrow, man. I'll text you throughout the games today. Cool?
Cool. Sounds good. We'll see you tomorrow.
All right. Sounds good. So we'll take out him. And then your short shot and long shot, Anthony, for 2 for you.
Yeah, you just got to keep it simple. Henry and Najee. Cold weather games. Rivalry. Derrick Henry and Najee.
Derrick Henry and Najee. Let me reboot this real quick. Oh, they logged me out, of course. They are so quick to log you out sometimes here. All right, so 2 touchdowns. Derrick Henry and Najee. Pays $500. So that's basic and easy. We'll go ahead and do that. I'll go ahead and do Derrick Henry and Calvin Austin for Dave on my ticket as well. because I'm going to like that, and that gives me some Henry action all the way around. But Anthony, I think I'm going to take a stab. Let's see here. I'm going to use the tight ends for the Ravens here. And what I'm going to do is Mark Andrews for 2 has been a winner for me all season. So that's one I'm going to want to play no matter what, I believe. So Mark Andrews for 2 is at 16-1. But I'm also going to play Isaiah Likely for 2. Now, I'll go ahead and throw on a nice $35 bet to win $550 on Andrews for 2. But I might take it up a little notch here with Likely and just take a stab with him straight. And let's just hope for the best here. But Likely at 43-1 for 2 is kind of interesting. And I'm played your Zay Flowers. I played him with Nico. I get all that. I'm just going to take the stab on Likely here. $50 wins $2,150. Let's take a shot at that here on this Christmas Saturday edition of the Round Robin. Isaiah Likely for 2 for me. All right, anything else on this game for you?
For 2 touchdowns, just humor me and tap Pat Fryermuth and Isaiah Likely.
Ooh, all right. Likely and Fryermuth.
Just humor me.
$8,633. $35.
I'm not saying put $10 on it, but even if you put 5.
I'm just going to put 25 on it. Why not?
You're insane.
Let's try to hit the jackpot. We'll blow through the winnings from last week faster than we possibly can if we do it like at this rate. Just kidding. But 25 pays for $21,000 on Fryermuth and Likely. Wow. Done. I just can't resist. Let's take a shot at it. All right, Ant. Let's talk about the games tomorrow real quick because you're going to be gone. You'll be out of the studio for tomorrow. Real quick bullet points on each one. Cincinnati Browns. I like the Bengals pretty big here. Any props you might be looking at in that game?
I haven't even looked at all this crap, but I will wing it. 8.5-point favorite, Cincinnati. They need a win. They're hungry. They're fired up. They obviously need a lot of help. It's going to be the Chases. Chase Brown, Jamar Chase, pick your poison.
All right, pick your poison there. Arizona and the Panthers. I think it's pick your poison with Connor and McBride in this one. Maybe even Harrison. He gets involved too because the Carolina defense is bad. But I think Arizona can win this game. I'll feel better about it tomorrow after I watch today. But those 3 guys are all live for me prop-wise.
Arizona needs to win this game. I mean, they still have a shot. It's kind of like the Cincinnati shot. They need a lot of help, but they need to win out against the Carolina team. Carolina's without Leggett. I mean, throw me Chuba Hubbard props because Jonathan Brooks is out again. But can Trey McBride ever effing score?
Yeah, I know.
I don't know. I don't have the stat in front of me, but I'm pretty sure he's going to set the record for most receiving yards in the NFL season without a touchdown. Plus, hopefully me to play you in our fantasy championship, I need McBride to go off. But if we're going to be playing the betting game, you can always sell me on James Conner for 2, but look.
Yeah, he's not paying much. I mean, less than 3-1 for 2.
Yeah, but if we're going to play the long shot game, is Harrison ever going to do anything? I'll throw him in for a long shot. Was he 13-1?
I think he's live tomorrow in this game for 2. Let's see. Harrison is at for 2 touchdowns. The Carolina secondary is like a revolving door. 13-1 for 2 for Harrison.
Okay, so he is at 13-1. All right. And when we do our stupid long shot 2 touchdowns, I'll throw Harrison in there.
All right. I like
Philly and Washington.
I know. Well, I know Brian Robinson Jr. had a field day running against the Eagles. Barkley did the same. Likewise, back to him. This is going to be a fun game to me. I'm not going to doubt Washington doesn't win this at the end of the day. I'm going to go back to the well on McLaurin, actually. As good as this Philadelphia defensive back core is, like I said, I'm putting McLaurin in that group of guys like Nico, Jamar Chase, guys that just cannot be guarded. And give me Scary Terry tomorrow. I'll get more into that then. But what's your angle in this one?
I'm worried about Scary because he only had one catch last time they played Philly. But the last 3 weeks?
On fire.
2 touchdowns.
Yep.
2 touchdowns, 1 touchdown. So Daniels and McLaurin are figuring it out. But Barkley, 146 yards and 2 scores against them last time. Maybe today's the Barkley game. And they are, what are they? Where are they at? Oh, they're all right. They're in Washington. But guess what? That doesn't matter. I don't care. It's gonna be a good game because 3.5 point favorites. But throw me in with Terry.
Are you going to run for the hills in this game with let's see. Are you going to run for the hills in this game with the Giants and the Falcons?
Did you see the report that they're going to cut Kirk Cousins after this game?
Yeah.
That's nuts. Good. You know what? Good for him. He got his money and he did okay. I can't believe that. That's ridiculous. Oh, well. You know what? He'll be on the Colts next year or the Jets.
Right.
He's the new Matt Ryan. But look, I don't know I don't know anything about this. I don't think any of us is going to watch this. And obviously, with me being home and watching the Red Zone with my family, I don't think they're going to show one snap of this game.
Right.
But guess what? You have a rookie quarterback. What's he going to do? Target the running back? And I can't believe I'm saying this, but he's going to target the tight end, which is Kyle Stupid
Pitts. Yeah, Pitts is the one guy that kind of came to mind for me as well.
I say when we make our crazy bets, we have our easies, we have our long shots that we like, and then the stupids that we really hate. And we'll throw Kyle Pitts in there.
Kyle Pitts 32-1 for 2 touchdowns tomorrow. All right, Colts and Titans. Anything particular here? Stock up here for Tajay Spears, I believe, for Tennessee.
Yeah, Pollard's dinged up. I think he's going to play. But yeah, Tajay Spears is the future. I believe they benched Will Levis. I haven't really paid much attention.
Mason Rudolph is the quarterback. That actually brings alive everybody a little bit better, I think.
Well, he's better than Will Levis. Yeah. As long as Mason Rudolph doesn't go against what's his name, Myles Garrett from the Browns,
right?
And he throws a helmet at him, then I think we're okay. I don't know anything about this game. I'll be dead honest. I know nothing. The only thing I will say is Nick Westbrook-Akine.
We'll have to throw him
back to the well. Back to the well, boys.
Back to the well. Yes, for sure. I think we have green light games with the Lions and the Bears and the Rams and the Jets. Both of these games could be high scoring, fun, mix and match. Some guys all together with some parlays with these two. Agree?
100%. David Montgomery's out for the year. Well, there was a report that he might, if they make it to the Super Bowl, he might come back, but his odds aren't the best. It's the Jahmyr Gibbs show. It's the Amon-Ra show. I'm not 100% on the weather in Chicago. I could look it up for you, but look, I think Detroit's out for a vengeance from especially with that loss against Buffalo and the fact that they almost lost against Chicago at home on Thanksgiving. And if it wasn't for that stupid Eberflus terrible timeout situation, the Bears could have actually won that game. So I think Detroit's coming out with a vengeance, and I think they're going to absolutely stomp them.
I'll tell you what. Here's what Detroit can't do, and that's run Gibbs into the ground. So because they need him now, and they're not gonna bully him with the ball with the Bears here. So this is a Jared Goff game, which means all these receivers are very, very live for Detroit. The secondary for Chicago, the cornerbacks, not the quarterback, cornerbacks rank 110 and 164 for their 1 and 2. It gets worse the further the list you go into their depth of their current secondary. So by that nature alone, I think the Bears can have success because they do have a little bit of confidence moving the ball against them in the previous game on Thanksgiving. So the fact that Chicago's probably going to score some points has to factor into the game plan for Detroit, that they're going to be very assertive on offense. And honestly, I'm going to kind of say what you said with Zay Flowers. Let's not get cute here. Let's just take Amon-Ra St. Brown for 2. You know? Almost
the
straight
reason
up.
why I agree with this is because the last time that not the last time, but the last time that Montgomery was out for a period of time, I don't know if it was last year or the year before. Tell me if you remember this play. Amon-Ra had like a 60-yard catch for a touchdown, and guess who made the block of the year? Craig effing Reynolds.
Wow.
And guess who is the David Montgomery of the Lions this week? Craig Reynolds at plus 360. And you just said they're not going to run Gibbs into the ground, right?
Right.
Because they can't. They can't afford it because Detroit is a run-first team. Craig Reynolds, I like him. But I do agree with you. Chicago's going to fight. They got new everything. They're obviously going to have a huge reboot at the end of the year, but they're playing with house money at this point. They're going to keep fighting. But I like Craig Reynolds at plus 360. Let's put him on our stupid Kyle Pitts train.
How about this ticket right now? Because we're talking about the Jets game as well, and Devontae Adams is getting fed the ball by Aaron Rodgers. There's no doubt about that. He's just getting fed the ball. Now, who's Sauce Gardner going to cover? Is he going to cover Kupp, or is he going to cover Nakua? Or could our man Demarcus Robinson reemerge at 45-1 for 2 touchdowns and steal the show like he tends to do? So a ticket right now of this, Anthony, Demarcus Robinson, 45-1, Devontae Adams, 9-1, Amon-Ra St. Brown, 7-1. $10 pays $22,845.
You had me at Demarcus Robinson. It's that simple.
And I think you can back it up and put $5 each on one with Nakua and a Kupp, and not get overly invested and still get a nice payout and have a big rooting interest here for the Rams. But go ahead, Anthony. Keep saying what you were saying.
Well, number one, apparently Aaron Rodgers is the best quarterback in the league again when nothing matters. And it's just him and Devontae Adams all damn day. As far as my league is concerned, I would hope that Garrett Wilson can be incorporated in some capacity. But don't get me wrong. You asked me about a Demarcus Robinson for 2 touchdowns. I'm in every single damn day. I will say this about the Rams. Want to know how many catches Cooper Kupp had last week?
I can't remember. Not many. Yeah, he didn't have a good game. He had like 2 or 3 catches, right?
All you had to do was say nothing. He had 0 catches.
Oh, I thought he got at least the one down the middle. I guess that was a drop.
No, he had a lot of attempts. That was it.
Right. Okay.
So in our secondary, I think he's going to score twice. Parlay, Kupp's going to be in it because I think there's a little bit of tension because guess what? The Rams can still win this damn division. And they need to beat the stupid Jets, who have been an absolute dumpster fire. But somehow the Jets look like the best team. Well, not the best team, but a very exciting team. A team that we all thought they could be, but they have not. Let's look at who else. Brees Hall's back. Kyron Williams at plus 360. Hall, blah. The only ones I like right now are Adams, Kupp, and Robinson. But just for our own amusement, maybe we'll throw this guy into our Kyle Pitts parlay, Alan Lazard.
He's you know what? I keep thinking he's going to be doing good. I had him a couple weeks ago, but it has literally been everything Devontae Adams. And then he got Garrett Wilson involved a little bit last week as well. How about this bet, Anthony? This is kind of going a little crazy here. Round robin receivers. The guys I just mentioned, St. Brown, Devontae Adams, Demarcus Robinson, and we'll throw on Kyle Pitts, Nico Collins, and Zay Flowers.
For what, 2?
Yep, for 2 touchdowns each. And if the 3 of these guys hit, it is going to be a little over $4,000 on the payout. If 4 of these guys hit, you're looking at about $100K. And if 5 of them hit, you're looking at about $1 million at the end of the day. Not the worst.
Not at all.
In fact, I'll play the 2s just for some assurance here. And then I feel like I want to beef up the 3s just a hair. All right, $36 to win $1.7 million. 2 touchdown scorers, Kyle Pitts, Nico Collins, Zay Flowers, St. Brown, Adams, and Demarcus Robinson. Interesting. All right, let's see here. Anything in the later slate that's going to pique your eye? That Minnesota Seattle game's a hard one for me. That's a hard game to handicap. Do you have anything you like in particular in that one?
I'm worried about this game actually because I think Seattle wins. I don't like that line at 3.
Right.
I mean, obviously they're assuming that Minnesota's going to win by 3, but they got Kenneth Walker back. Geno's playing, and Minnesota just came out from a dominating win. And right now, Minnesota could. There's actually a path for Minnesota to get the number 1 seed, which is insane.
Yeah. Yep. It is. You look up and you're like, man, they still only have 2 losses. You feel like they've lost.
I don't know
recently,
how,
but yeah. They won a lot of close up games.
I feel like they've lost 6 games this year, but no, they're tied with Detroit.
As Brian Flores, that's what it is.
Yeah, it's exactly what it is. Part of my Zay Flowers 100 yards receiving prop. I'm going with JSN.
Okay.
His line's at 63 right now, but if you take him at 100 yards, where the hell did he go? Why did he just disappear? Oh, there he is. You take Zay Flowers for 100, and then JSN, he's 370 for 100 yards. He's one of my other favorite plays. Because Geno has to run it. Or he has to throw it.
All right. Like it. These 2 teams worry me prop-wise in the late slate and the night game on Monday. And that's Buffalo and the Packers. Not that they can't get the job done, but they're going to be so good that they're going to be able to call off the dogs, I think, in both of these circumstances. And if you're looking for big Josh Allen numbers, this might not be the week for that because the Bills are going to get up here in the first half. They'll get up to their 24-3 lead. They'll get a touchdown to start the third quarter, and then it's to the bench. I think most of these guys start to go, and then maybe New England gets a little bit of garbage time. I do like Ray Davis and Tyler Johnson for the Bills and cleanup duty to score more than likely. I think that's a good angle. And then with the Packers, I think it's the same thing. I think you start to rest guys as you are beating down Spencer Rattler and on a cold Green Bay night once they go up 21-24 to nothing at halftime as well. So buyer beware on the Packers and the Bills for me. Same philosophy for you?
Agreed. I think what's Ray Davis's odds right now? What, plus 3 something?
Yeah, plus 390 for a touchdown.
All right. Now, who is the Packers' backup running back?
That would be, they like him too. So that's going to be, let's see, he is, let me pull that game up.
I feel like I should know this. Was it Chris Brooks?
I believe it's Brooks, yes.
They have him and Emmanuel Wilson. So, look, you can pick either one of them. I mean, if you want to shoot for this guy, go for it. But Green Bay should take care of business. This Saints team's broken, unfortunately. They started the year off so well, too. But Buffalo is going to absolutely dismantle them. They're going for the number 1 seed. You're not going to. Josh Allen, I don't believe is going to have to put on the Superman cape. Could he still get 2 touchdowns? Of course he could.
Yeah, he could.
But look,
I think he gets Dalton Kincaid a touchdown.
Maybe the Bills can actually practice playoff football against the Patriots today. You know, how to not utilize Josh Allen as Superman.
Right.
You know, get everyone else. Yeah. Get Dalton Kincaid in. You know what? Why not this be the time that Dawson Knox scores the first touchdown?
Right.
Like I always bet, and it only hits once out of every 30 times. But you know what? F it. I'm going to put $20 on Dawson Knox to score first.
Plus 950 for Kincaid and Jaden Reed touchdown. If you think Jaden Reed can get off the snide. A little bit of silent here lately for him. All right, I think the only other good prop game for me is potentially the 49ers and the Dolphins. I think we can see some points in that game. Del Grande loves the 49ers in this game. But is this somewhat of a green light game for you?
I think both of these teams are broken too.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah,
but they are in Miami. The weather should be fine. I do not believe Waddle is going to play. I'm not 100 on that. See if Waddle's even on the list.
Let's see here. Touchdown scores. I do not see Waddle listed right now.
All right. I don't believe he's playing. I'm not even in front of my phone right now, but I mean, if this is going to be a green light game, then is Tyreek Hill going to finally do it? And you know what, the hell with it. In my easy peasy parlay bet, I'll take Achane. I'll take him for 2. I'll keep it simple. But I don't know what the 49ers have to offer. And also, in my tight end bet, Johnny Smith, because he's been electric.
He's been on fire. Let's see. I'm going to put Achane in a 1 touchdown bet. I'm going to also put Juwan Jennings in there because he is, to me, the most consistent San Francisco receiver to this point, at this and at this stage in the season, if not Kittles. But I'll throw Jennings in here for 1. I'll throw Achane in for 1. I'm going to rewind and take St. Brown for 1 because I like that. We'll go ahead and throw in Kincaid for 1. Let's see here. Kincaid for 1 at plus 250. We'll go ahead and throw in Jake Reed for 1 for Green Bay. This is going to have to make us wait for the night game. This could be some Monday excitement if this is all live here. These are all for 1 touchdowns. Jaden Reed. I keep saying Jake Reed. Jaden Reed, Dalton Kincaid, St. Brown, Achane, Juwan Jennings, and I'm going to throw one more random one at you. This is this guy might be the live guy here at the 4:00 window, and I'm talking about Brian Thomas Jr. I think the Jaguars actually win this game at Oakland, and Thomas Jr. is a reason why here. I'm going to throw him on this ticket. $10 wins $2,918 for Brian Thomas, Jaden Reed, Dalton Kincaid, Amon-Ra St. Brown, A-Chan, and Jawan Jennings, all for 1 touchdown. Your thoughts on that ticket, Anthony?
Sure.
Why not?
You know what? You might as well just throw Brock Bowers into it too, because Aiden O'Connell will be back.
And he likes Brock Bowers.
Yes, he does. Not Desmond or whatever his name is, Ritter.
All right. All right, Anthony, you asked for it. I'll give it to you. I'll queue up the 2 touchdown sounder, and you can give me your 2 touchdown scores for the weekend. And then give me your best bets after that as well. So here's the 2 touchdown sounder as we'll wrap things up here on the Saturday morning round robin NFL special / college football playoffs starting in 10 minutes.
Johnny. 4 weeks. 20 papers, that's $2 plus tip.
Gee, Johnny, I don't have a dime. Sorry.
Didn't ask for a dime. $2.
Hey, give me 2.5 and a Rick Bell.
It's a jungle out there. You got to look out for number 1, but don't step at number 2.
Utah, give me 2.
And Jimmy 2 times, who got that nickname because he said everything twice, like...
I'm going to go get the papers,
All right, Anthony, give me your 2 touchdown scores for the weekend.
Number 1, I didn't think we'd get this far. Number 2, it's going to be broken into legs, right? So the easies and the not, and the kind of easies and the long shot.
All right.
But give me Henry and Barkley.
All right.
And we never even covered the Buccaneers and the Cowboys.
Oh yeah.
Oh no, that's fine. Throw Mike Evans into that.
Yeah, Evans is live.
Going for it.
Yeah, Evans is very live.
Yep. And then with the Jets, keep me with Devontae Adams. Those are my easies, I guess. Not that Adams could do it, but it's very possible because that's all Rodgers is throwing it to. Give me any of the Chases, Chase Brown or Jamar Chase. Give me Connor. And believe it or not, I can't believe I'm saying this, but give me DJ Moore for the Bears.
I do like him. All the Bears receivers are very, very live. All right, 2 touchdown scores for me for today. You know what? I mean, there's a lot to like. So I'll start with likely. Likely a lot today. I do like Andrews as well. I'll take shots with both of them. I'll take a shot with Zay Flowers because Anthony told me so as well. And Calvin Austin is already on 1 ticket I have going as well. In the other game, you can go any number of directions, but Nico will be my primary focus. I'll sprinkle some on Pacheco and Mixon. I'll sprinkle some on Tank Dell and Dalton Schultz and Noah Gray as well. And your best couple of bets for the weekend, Anthony. What are your top plays, not touchdown scorer wise?
Evans for 100.
Yep.
Get me Chase for 100. Are you writing this down right now?
Yes.
I had a feeling. Give me Amon-Ra for 100. Give me Jefferson for 100. And to tally it all up, and we're going to round robin this. You like Brian Thomas, and I like him too.
He'll be stuck on my fantasy bench, unfortunately. But a nice draft pick all season long to look at on my bench, for sure. I've had a deep team. It's been hard to play him. You know?
Steve, if me and you can both get through our semifinal rounds, I welcome you to start Brian Thomas against me in the championship.
We will have a fantasy football championship party next Sunday, Anthony, with me and you, if it's our championship game against each other together.
Yep.
You know, worst place where one of us is rooting for, we might be in the 3rd place game together. How about that? I'm celebrating the same thing.
Well, let's put it this way: if we face each other wherever we are next week, winner buys dinner.
All right, there you go. All right, we'll go ahead and cue up the pie tasters. Anthony, you have a Merry Christmas. Tell everyone in your family, everyone down here at the Deep End Broadcasting Network, sends them a happy holiday and a very special New Year. Merry Christmas to them. Up in Newcastle, PA. So deliver that to them from us. And safe travels for you, sir.
What I can't wait for is to wear nothing but Pittsburgh gear into the Baltimore airport while the Steelers are playing the Ravens.
All right, we'll be back tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for the Sunday slate. Good luck today, guys. All right, that was fun. You want to do a shot? I'm sure you did already.